Where there's a Will, there's a Hathaway, and Anne, well, she found her way slipping on the steps like she did 20 years ago on the set. Now, deja vu, is that you? Anne Hathaway, the queen of chic mishaps, just reminded us that even Hollywood royalty can take a tumble and somehow still make it look iconic. So here's the scene. New York City, the set of The Devil Wears Prada 2, Anne's back in character as Andy Sachs, dressed in a sheer plaid blouse and pleated black skirt, studded strappy heels, and clutching a bagel bag like the true multitasking New Yorker she is. Now, she's strutting down a stoop looking like she just walked out of Vogue when suddenly, boom, her heel kind of snaps and Anne Hathaway face plants right there on set. But instead of drama, tears, or any sort of diva energy, Anne just pops right back up, still holding her bagel, laughing it off, hugging her crew, and basically proving she's the queen of turning humiliation into pure gold. Honestly, only Anne Hathaway could literally trip, break a shoe, and somehow give us the most relatable moment of the year. And of course, she didn't just leave it at that. No, Anne knows how to feed the internet. So she threw up a video on Instagram with the ultimate throwback, side-by-side clips of her clumsy bleacher slip from The Princess Diaries next to her brand new Prada 2 fall. The caption, well, it was 20 years later, still falling for you. A self-drag with a wink to her fans, and the internet went wild, honestly. That's why people love Anne. That's why she is the Amelia Mignonette, Thermopylae Rinaldi, Princess of Genovia forever. She doesn't hide behind the perfect celebrity facade. She knows she can, be glamorous, flawless, and still completely human at the exact same time. It's not about the stumble, it's about how you get back up. And she gets back up smiling, owning it, and making it into a viral moment we can all laugh at her about. So, meanwhile, the real buzz is that The Devil Wears Prada 2 is officially happening, and this little fall just gave it even more hype. We've got Anne, Emily Blunt, Meryl Streep, and Stanley Tucci all returning. Aline Brosh McKenna's back writing, David Frankel's directing, and the film's set to hit theaters in May 2026. So the translation for that is Andy Sachs is back, Miranda Priestley is back, and we're all ready to live for the fashion and the drama again. So yes, Anne Hathaway may have face planted in front of the cameras, but instead of humiliation, it actually turned into the perfect marketing moment. She gave us comedy, nostalgia, and a bagel bag all in one. And if that doesn't prove she still got it, I honestly don't know what does at this point. Because let's be real, falling is easy. Turning a fall into a moment the whole world talks about, that takes star power. And Anne Hathaway just reminded us she's still got plenty of that.
Beyonce, while she may seem perfect, she isn't. And she's had a lot of different blunders when it comes to her performances. From being caught lip syncing to having malfunctioning props, she can't hide it all from us. Now, in 2013, Beyonce sang the national anthem at the inauguration of President Barack Obama. Now, she was praised for the performance, but it was later discovered that she was lip syncing. Reporters were told that she decided to sing along with her pre-recorded track, a decision she made in part because she didn't have time to rehearse with the US Marine Band and had no proper sound check. Now, the admission about the January 21st performance wasn't a complete shock though, as a spokeswoman for the Marine Band initially said Beyonce was not actually singing the national anthem. Hours later, the band backed away from the spokeswoman's remarks though, releasing a statement that said the group was not in a position to know for sure. Then, 2 days after the inauguration, an inaugural official, who asked not to be identified, said Beyonce did not sing live, even though she was spot on in her pre-recording, which was taped separately from the band and then married together. After silence for a couple of days, Beyonce spoke out, saying, "I did not feel comfortable taking a risk," she said of what she called a very, very important emotional show for her. "I wanted to make Obama and the country proud." Calling herself a perfectionist who typically practices until my feet bleed, she worried about potential problems during a live television show taking place outside on a chilly Washington day. Now, other than this incident, she said, "I always sing live, with that exception." Now, Beyonce expressed no regrets about her rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner in front of the Capitol, as she said, "I'm very proud of my performance." Now, her concerts are another thing though, because at other performances she's been caught lip-syncing certain songs, but people think it's due to the difficulty of some of them. Now, regardless, she's been caught many times and has only owned up to it once. And then there's her most recent tour, Cowboy Carter, as she had a prop malfunction at one of her shows. She was singing 16 16 carriages, and she sat in the back of a red convertible prop high up above the crowd when suddenly it slanted to the side and she almost fell off. "Stop, stop, 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 stop," the singer calmly announced as she paused the performance over the crowd, which called for her to be brought down. Now the car and Beyonce were harnessed to cables, and she could be seen gripping one as the vehicle continued to dangle over concert goers. Beyonce told the crowd though, "If I ever fall, I know y'all would catch me." Now it was not clear what led to this mishap, but Parkwood Entertainment, the singer's management company, said in an Instagram post that a technical mishap caused the flying car, a prop Beyonce used to circle the stadium and see her fans up close, to tilt. The company said she was quickly lowered and no one was injured, and a representative for the stadium did not give further details.
Hailey Bieber is humiliated again after Justin Bieber abandons her. So get this, Justin Bieber just gave the internet exactly what it needed to drag him for another 48-hour news cycle, and honestly, he earned it. A clip from the GQ Men of the Year event went viral, showing Justin hopping out of the car with his boys and basically speed walking into the event like he forgot his wife even existed. Meanwhile, Hailey is in the back seat alone, trying to get out in a sheer plunging dress, adjusting the outfit, the heels, the dignity, all at once, without a single helping hand in sight. And the way Justin doesn't even glance back, like not even like a courtesy half turn, nothing. He's already 10 steps ahead while Hailey is giving left behind at the airport energy. Social media saw that and said absolutely not. People were furious. The comments were basically a roast battle with people saying, "Bro, walk with your wife and help her out, like be a man. And why is she in the back seat while the dudes sit up front?" It was bad, like bad. And of course, the internet being the internet, they started pulling receipts. People were reminding everyone of past clips, like that moment where Justin joked that if Hailey wasn't so hot, he would have gotten rid of her. Not exactly Hallmark husband material. So now this whole, abandoning her in the car thing is looking less like, an oopsie and more like a consistent vibe. Fans on Reddit were calling the whole situation disrespectful and weird, and honestly, they're not wrong. A lot of people flat out said that Justin looks completely checked out. Others called the dynamic cold, awkward, and just not giving husband energy whatsoever. And then you add the emotional weight Hailey's already talked about, the postpartum struggle, the non-stop marriage rumors, the weird obsession people have with the relationship, and you can see why this clip hit harder than usual. I mean, she's trying to hold it together while the internet turns her marriage into a live action reality show. And then her own husband hands everyone, this moment on a silver platter. Justin has tried to clean up his image before, mentioning her in his music, apologizing for past comments, and then editing the apology into emojis, which, like, sir, please. But none of that even matters when the cameras catch you treating your wife like that, or like a third wheel on your own date night. And that's why this clip blew up, because it wasn't just a red carpet like faux pas. It fed right into every rumor people already whisper about, that Justin's detached and that the chemistry is off and that Hailey is constantly left to fend for herself while, he floats around like the human version of a disappearing notification bubble. So now the internet is fully convinced she was humiliated, he was careless, and this is yet another crack in the facade they're desperately trying to keep polished. And honestly, with moments like this going viral, they don't even need gossip blogs anymore. I mean, they're giving the internet everything all by themselves. And, to quote one of the greats, you know what they say, you allow what you tolerate, and what you tolerate is what will continue. And that was said by me, actually, Ashley. So yes, fix up Justin and Hailey. This is really getting out of hand now.
Recently, a clip has resurfaced of JLo, and it has gone viral. The clip in question, well, she spits her gum into her assistant's hand. Yeah, and that's not only rude, but it's honestly just gross. It seems like in between takes while filming a movie, she wanted to have fresher breath, so she started chewing some gum. But when the cameras are ready to roll again, she can't have it, so instead of asking for a tissue or disposing of the gum herself, she has her assistant come over and cup her hands, while JLo leans over and spits out her gum. A 2024 clip from the Met Gala went viral for Jennifer, but it was for all the wrong reasons. In a clip shared on TikTok, USA Today reporter Anika Reed was on the famous Met stairs reporters when she innocently asked J-Lo, who was one of the co-chairs that year, "Who are you wearing tonight?" as she walks past. Now, J-Lo barely looked at her and gave a monotone answer of Chaparli while she continued to go up the stairs, ignoring every other reporter waiting to talk to her. Now, people in the comments were quick to call out Jennifer for her rude behavior. One user said, "Ew, why does she have that attitude?" Yeah, fans weren't too happy with the singer's behavior at all. Now, before J-Lo and Ben Affleck got divorced, she wrote a whole album and made a movie based on their love story. Here's the thing though, she also made a documentary about all of this, but the doc was actually named after a scrapbook that Ben gifted Jennifer for Christmas in 2021, stacked with every letter and email they'd written to each other over the last 20 years. Now, Jennifer showed the book to her producers and songwriters on the first day of making her new album, without asking or even telling Ben. "It became like our Bible," she says in the doc. "We just left it in the studio, and this revelation comes within the first 5 minutes of the doc, and right out of the gate, Ben isn't shy about his discomfort." Ben shared that he was taken aback when Jen shared with songwriters the private love letters he wrote to her to serve as inspiration for her upcoming album, This Is Me Now. Later on, he says, "Things that are private, I always felt are sacred and special, because in part, they're private." And J-Lo was also spotted being rude to the paparazzi and her fans. It seems like she came out of a store and everyone was waiting for her. She started to do a paparazzi walk, but was not smiling at all and was pretty much ignoring fans. Now, in the video, she continually says, "Please leave," but continues to pose for photos. Now, after one of the paps asks her a question, she turns away angrily and heads back to her car. As they follow her, she says, "That's enough, you got your pictures," and said that it's hard to love these people as they always mob her. Now, it's not her best look, and some claim she may have been having an off day, but she was definitely giving mixed signals and didn't have to be so rude, especially to all her loving fans.
Katy Perry was left absolutely humiliated after nearly falling on top of the audience after a flying prop malfunctioned. Katy Perry almost took an unexpected nosedive mid-concert, mid-air, and mid-roar. It all went down at the Chase Center in San Francisco, where a crowd of thousands watched her ride a giant mechanical butterfly over their heads until it suddenly jerked. 1 second she's confidently belting out the chorus, the next she's clutching for balance, dangling over fans who probably weren't expecting their concert ticket to come with a front row seat to potential chaos. The glitch came literally out of nowhere. One moment the butterfly was soaring gracefully, the next it kind of dropped suddenly and tilted, forcing Katy to stop singing and grip the structure for dear life. Videos from fans show her pausing, clearly startled, and scanning the cables above her before regaining her balance. But you know what? In true pop queen fashion, she gave a very cheeky wave and kept the show rolling. No injuries, no diva moment, just pure, unshaken performance mode. Later that night, she poked fun at herself on Instagram, posting a very blurry shot of her wide-eyed face with the caption, "Good night, San Fran." The girl has jokes, even when almost falling from the sky, I gotta give her that. And this wasn't even, her first aerial scare of the tour. Just a few weeks earlier in Australia, she had another near miss when a floating metal glow prop tilted mid-lift, almost sending her into the audience again. It's giving, honestly, like Final Destination Pop Star Edition. And get this, she's not the only one flirting with gravity lately. Beyonce had her own prop malfunction in Houston when a suspended car platform went wobbly, forcing her to halt the show and get down safely. These modern concerts, they're full-blown cinematic productions. You've got singers flying, spinning, dangling over fire, all for like the perfect Instagram clip. But when the tech doesn't cooperate, it's no longer a showstopper. It's literally a safety hazard. And in 2025, with everyone recording everything, there's literally no hiding it. Her Lifetimes tour isn't slowing down anytime soon. Seattle's next, then Canada, Europe, and South America. And despite the flying fails, she's still pulling off packed arenas and viral moments, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, but between the stunt mishaps and the album buzz around her new project 143, Katie's proving she can take a hit, laugh it off, and keep giving fans exactly what they came for. But let's talk about the bigger picture. These extravagant stage shows might be exciting, but at what point does, epic become a necessary risk? I mean, Reddit threads lit up with some calling the butterfly prop widely unsafe and others joking that pop stars need parachutes now. It's no secret these, kind of props go through intense safety checks, but when you're dangling 30 feet above thousands of people, a little jolt can honestly probably feel like a free fall. Still, Katie brushed it off like it was just another costume change. That's why fans, they keep showing up. Kim Kardashian fell flat on her face, and let's just say it was a little embarrassing to say the least. So Kim K really said beauty is pain and then immediately proved it in real time. So here's what happened. She's stepping out for the Vanity Fair Oscars after party, dripping in a gold Gucci gown, ice blue contacts, full, bombshell glam, looking like she just walked off a red carpet straight into billionaire heaven. Cameras were flashing, people staring, the whole moment, curated down to the last eyelash. And then it all suddenly goes left because Kim decides right before walking in to adjust her shoe, which, let's be honest, is already a risky decision when you're balanced on what can only be described as architectural engineering. I mean, we're talking sky-high platform heels, the kind that don't forgive mistakes. Next thing you know, she lets out a scream, loses her footing, and fully wipes out into a bush. It wasn't a cute stumble, not a whoops haha moment. No, this was like a full dramatic fall backwards straight into a bush. Yes, a bush. Leaves, branches, dignity, all gone. And somehow, though, it actually gets a little worse because as she's going down, she grabs onto a random woman nearby for dear life. I mean, this poor woman was just kind of standing there. She was holding some sort of pink box, don't know what was in it, but she was minding her business, and suddenly she's been cast as a supporting character in Kim K's fall from grace. Now she's trying to stay upright, protect her box, and not get dragged down, into the bushes along with Kim. Now Kim's stumbling along, she's apologizing profusely, talking about her ankle, trying to recover physically and emotionally at the same time. And while the entire thing is unfolding in front of people who definitely did not sign NDAs, here's the part that really makes the next level, embarrassing. Kim actually posted this video herself. No hiding, no, this never happened. She uploaded the fall like, yeah, this is what we're doing today, which honestly pretty bold. I mean, slightly unhinged, but bold nonetheless. And let's talk about the real villain of this story, the heels. 8 inches, sky high, gravity defying, absolutely disrespectful heels. The kind that look amazing in photos, but clearly have a personal vendetta against stability. And the fact that they were only like $80 allegedly, I'm sorry, like how are you, a billionaire, getting betrayed by budget shoes? That's not fashion, that's pretty much a setup. But also, this is so Kim, very on brand for her. She will risk everything for the look. I mean, balance, optional, safety, irrelevant. If the outfit hits, nothing else matters, right? Except gravity said actually kind of does. And the internet, well, they ate this up immediately, of course, because there is nothing people love more than seeing someone who is always perfectly polished have a very real, very clumsy moment. I mean, it kind of humanizes her, but also it humbles her. So was this whole moment a little embarrassing? Yeah, absolutely. Was it iconic? Unfortunately, also yes, because only Kim Kardashian could fall into a bush, take out an innocent bystander, apologize mid-chaos, post it online, and still walk into the party like nothing happened at all. I mean, that's not just a fall, that's literally a moment. You guys let me know your thoughts on this though. Was it embarrassing, or will people forget this probably by midnight? Sarah Jessica Parker has been humiliated yet again by her old co-star Kim Cattrall. Could this feud be reignited? Well, here's what I know. Sarah Jessica Parker just got served a major public clapback, and Kim Cattrall is holding all of the receipts. The feud that fans thought was buried with Sex and the City and its reboot, just like that, has flared up again, and let's just say honestly it's pretty messy. It all kicked off when Cattrall casually liked a fan comment on Instagram claiming that she carried the entire franchise. Yes, Kim Cattrall basically gave a very subtle side eye to the legacy of Carrie Bradshaw herself. The timing couldn't be sharper or savvier. I mean, this move comes right after the finale of And Just Like That, which, let's be real, left a lot of fans scratching their heads. The show wrapped its 3rd season, but the reunion, we were all kind of dreaming dreaming of, the full squad of Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha, never actually happened, and fans were just not here for it. I mean, Samantha Jones, the character that practically defined bold, brash, unapologetic female energy, was mostly MIA. I mean, she had like a little cameo in season 2, but that full-on return ghosted. And Cottrell's like, see, I told you I was the glue. By endorsing that fan comment, she's basically saying, you know, I was the star you all needed, even if you didn't realize it. That's ouch, gotta hurt. Meanwhile, Chris Noth, Mr. Big himself, decided to kind of fan the flames and maybe actually pick a side by publicly wishing Cottrell a happy 69th birthday. That's right, Chris made her the only original cast member to shout her out on social media. Everyone's reading this as a quiet wink to Cottrell and a very subtle clap back at Parker, because let's be honest, Parker has been the face of the franchise, but this little birthday nod made the internet collectively go, oof. Now, as for Parker herself, well, radio silence. She said nothing publicly about the finale's, reception or Cottrell's Instagram move, but sometimes silence speaks louder than words, right? And in this case, it's basically screaming the tension is very real and it's far from over. Let's rewind a little though. The Parker Cottrell drama isn't new. It's been bubbling over or under the surface for many years. Cottrell has previously accused Parker of being cruel and even hypocritical on set. Parker has responded with sorrow and said she's tried to stay respectful, but clearly the, wounds run deep. And with Cottrell's latest social media maneuver, well, the internet is eating it up. Fans are dissecting every like, every comment, every subtle shade like it's a season finale cliffhanger. So where does that leave us now? Well, Kim Cattrall just reminded everyone why Samantha Jones was iconic, why her energy was unmatched, and why she might have been carrying the franchise all along. Sarah Jessica Parker is left in the crosshairs of a very public feud, one that refuses to go away quietly. Now, the moral of the story, never underestimate a social media like from Kim Cattrall. It's more powerful than a million red Manolos. And as the fandom debates, memes, and takes sides, one thing is certain. The Parker Cottrell saga is the gift that keeps on giving. And honestly, we're here for it. What do you guys make of this supposed reignited feud? Let me know.
Starting off, we have her new album flopping. Now, in its first week, Jennifer Lopez's new album, This Is Me Now, debuted on the Billboard 200 at the number 38 spot before dropping off the chart altogether. Now, this was definitely not what she was hoping for with this album. J-Lo's devastated the album. Her first in nearly a decade did so poorly. She's never experienced this kind of failure. It's humiliating, a source exclusively told In Touch. She poured her heart and soul into this project. It was a huge undertaking. Jennifer released the album in February as a sequel to her 2002 record, This Is Me Then, which was written amid her and Ben Affleck's first engagement. Although the two eventually split in January 2004 and went on to marry other people, they reconciled nearly 20 years later in 2021. Ben proposed in March 2022, and the couple tied the knot that summer. Ben was her muse for both of these projects. Next is that she treats her employees badly. According to several of J-Lo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname Paylow because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere, which is crazy because her current net worth is $400 million. But because she had to work hard for her money, she believed that others should work hard too. Now, an incident related to this happened in 2003. Jennifer was spotted in Vegas with her then boyfriend Ben Affleck, and the pair had a big win, and Ben decided to drop a $2,000 tip to the dealer. But before the dealer could scoop up the generous reward, J-Lo snatched up the cash and swapped it for $200 instead, which is just rude and was not her call. Then she got a maid fired. In 2002, Jennifer starred in the romantic comedy Made in Manhattan. She went all over the world promoting the romantic comedy, and when she landed in London, she had people talking about her demands. When promoting the movie, she had a very interesting encounter with hotel staff, as she stayed at the Metropolitan Hotel and showed her early signs of being a diva. The hotel staff was amazed by her lavish and extravagant demands, as it was something they'd never seen before. Apparently, she requested the hotel staff to provide her with thousands of pounds of lemon-scented candles. Not to mention, she only travels in style when it's a short distance. She had 7 limousines escort her to lunch at the Dorchester, only 200 yards away. And then in 2012, it was reported that she had a maid fired from her job, although she repeatedly denies it. Jennifer was staying at the Melia Dusseldorf in Germany, and a maid working at the hotel Prey Doja approached the diva's room to get an autograph. Now, she spoke with JLo's assistant, who denied her, and the next morning Prey was fired. She said, "A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone because of an autograph." Now, Jennifer and the hotel deny that she was fired for that specific reason, as JLo called the story hurtful, but who knows. Now we have her performance demands. In 2013, JLo was set to perform at the opening ceremony of the Indian Premier Cricket League. Now, the event is often compared to the Super Bowl and has quite a large audience. The year before, 56 million viewers tuned in to watch Katy Perry perform, and it was estimated that JLo would get an audience close to 60 million. However, her demands essentially cost her the event. She asked for a large number of hotel rooms for her massive entourage, which included her personal chef and stylist. Now, she also demanded a private plane, and in the end, organizers rejected her requests and instead brought in Pitbull to replace her, as it would cost them less money. Now, I'm sure she thought she was irreplaceable, but she wasn't. Now, you'd think she'd learn her lesson to not ask for so much after that encounter, but I'm sure she continued on with those demands. Speaking of, let's talk about the demands for American Idol. Listen up, everyone. JLo does not come at a cheap price. You want her as an American Idol judge, then you have to pay her $20 million, and that's per season. Yep. It turns out that the pay for sitting in a chair and judging people isn't all that bad, as in 2011, JLo was paid approximately $12 million to replace Simon Cowell on American Idol. Time reports that JLo's American Idol salaries have ranged from $12 to $20 million. While Jen's presence has been credited for rejuvenating the show, the price tag remains shocking. And now that Katy Perry has left the show, there is rumors about JLo replacing her, but again, that will come at a huge price. Then there's her canceled tour. On May 31st, it was announced that Jennifer's This Is Me Live summer tour was cancelled. Live Nation confirmed the cancellation to the Associated Press, stating Jennifer is taking time off to be with her children, family, and close friends. In addition, Jennifer released a statement of her own on her On the JLo website, explaining the reason behind the cancellation. She wrote, "I'm completely heartsick and devastated about letting you down. Please know that I wouldn't do this if I didn't feel it was absolutely necessary." She added, "I promise I'll make it up to you and we will all be together again. I love you all so much. Until next time." The This Is Me Live tour would have been Jennifer's first in 5 years. It was going to be in support of her first solo album in 10 years, This Is Me Now, and its companion film. Now, rumor has it that poor ticket sales and an impending breakup with her husband of 2 years, Ben Affleck, might have contributed to the tour's cancellation, and this would explain why she needed to spend time with her loved ones. Moving on to lying about plastic surgery. Jennifer has been accused of getting plastic surgery many times, but each time she denies it. In 2013, when a UK-based plastic surgeon analyzed pictures of her on Twitter, he claimed that they showed signs of cosmetic work, and she hit back, adding him, saying, "Sorry sir, but I've never had plastic surgery of any kind, #fact," she tweeted. Then on January 15th, 2021, Jennifer posted a video on her Instagram revealing the results of that limitless glow sheet mask from her new beauty line. A fan took to the comments to accuse the singer-actress of achieving her ageless look with something more than the mask, saying, "You definitely had Botox and tons of it, and it's all good, just saying." Now, Jennifer commented back and said, "LOL, that's just my face. For the 500 millionth time, I've never done Botox or any other injectables or surgery. Just saying, get yourself some JLo beauty and feel beautiful in your skin. And here's another JLo beauty secret. Try spending your time being more positive, kind, and uplifting to others. Don't spend your time trying to bring others down. That will keep you youthful and beautiful too." Now we have the self-financed movie. Now after her album This Is Me Now, Jennifer created her own movie based on the album called This Is Me Now, A Love Story. According to a Variety interview, the album, film, and accompanying documentary cost $20 million in total to produce. Now once it was done, Amazon then purchased the project. We went in over budget. It was a challenging project in that way. It's like there could have never been enough money for the project, she told The Hollywood Reporter. We didn't have endless funds from a studio. This was a very independent project that I was self-financing, so it was very challenging periodically. Everyone thought I was crazy when I said I would self-fund the film. We did have financing and then that fell out, she revealed. They pulled out at the last minute and then it was that moment where you go, okay, do we just make a video or do we go ahead and do this thing? Now she went ahead with it, but it wasn't really the best idea. Next we have her Mariah feud. The Jennifer-Mariah feud has played out since the early 2000s, and it all began with 4 little words Mariah Carey once uttered to a German reporter: "I don't know her." Now both stars have repeatedly been asked about the comment, and they can't seem to decide whether they like each other or not. When Andy Cohen brought up the feud on his show Watch What Happens Live in 2014, Jennifer played the whole thing off, saying, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. Like, we don't know each other." She added, "I would love to meet her and I would love to be friends with her." However, during a 2016 appearance on the Wendy Williams show, J-Lo had other thoughts. "Mariah does say that. She's forgetful, I guess," she slammed. "We've met many times." Now that same year, Mariah spoke to Andy Cohen about the feud and stood her ground, reiterating, "I don't know her, what am I supposed to say?" Then, following Mariah's disastrous New Year's Eve performance that December, Jennifer found an opportunity to throw shade. When an Instagram user posted about the train wreck show, writing, "Ever seen an accident you couldn't take your eyes away from? That was her tonight." J-Lo liked the post. Then, when Mariah published her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, in September 2020, she not only revealed the root of her feud with J-Lo, but she also made sure to throw shade at her. In the book, Mariah slams her ex-husband, Tommy Mottola, the then chairman and CEO of Sony Music Entertainment, accusing him of trying to ruin her career and getting Jennifer Lopez involved. And finally, we have her lying about products. In December 2020, Jennifer made headlines when she insisted that the secret to her flawless complexion is olive oil. The star spoke out ahead of the launch of her JLo Beauty skincare range. Speaking to Page 6 at the time, Jennifer said of olive oil, "It's a secret I've used all over the years because it really does work." She wanted to encourage people to also be vigilant with sunscreen, explaining, "One of the big things I would encourage everybody to do from the time they're 15 years old, even younger, is wear sunscreen every day." But an eagle-eyed fan may have spotted one more way that Jennifer maintains her super smooth and glowing skin in videos and photos: filters. TikTok user @NeedTheDeets exposed the trick when they uploaded a clip from one of Jennifer's social media posts from February 2023, which highlighted the moment an apparent filter glitched. "Wait for the filter to fall off to see JLo's real skin texture," they captioned the video. Now in the footage, Jennifer looks absolutely flawless as she talks about going to the gym, but sure enough, at one point she leans closer to the camera and her skin looks much more relatable. Jen quickly readjusts herself, making the glitch a blink and you'll miss it moment, but viewers still found the filter slip up hilarious. The way she jumps back when she realizes, one person commented. Another observed, "I love how the filter deactivated on telling. Filter literally snitched on cue." Now in fact, Jen looked so good that people shared their sadness that she even felt the need to alter her appearance online. And others argued that it isn't appropriate for Jen to digitally enhance her skin when she sells skincare products. Now regardless, if you're gonna use filters, just make sure they work properly.
In at number 10, Christian Bale. When that tape leaked of Christian Bale going absolutely nuts, not only did he have to go on a press tour for his new movie, but an apology tour as well. That Christian Bale rant had so many expletives in it, I'm almost certain we're not going to be able to use the clip. While filming The Terminator Salvation, a crew member had accidentally walked onto the set, interrupting Bale while he was acting. This sent the celebrity into a downward spiral of anger where the F word suddenly became punctuation for his sentences. He nearly stopped all production on the movie just so he could release his frustrations on that hard-working film crew. We get that some acting requires intense focus, but regardless, if someone breaks that focus, it doesn't give the actor free license to scream at others.
Nothing I can say about that I haven't said already. And you know, I have never tried to make any excuses for it. It was unacceptable, and I take it, it's my fault. That's it.
In at number 9, Jennifer Lawrence. Now let's shift to one that's a little more funny than sad, because most times celebrities do something embarrassing, it's not very pretty. Jennifer Lawrence had just won an Oscar for The Silver Linings Playbook and was playing it pretty cool during her interviews, all things considered, when all of a sudden legendary actor Jack Nicholson decided to surprise her. Jennifer did her very best to keep her cool, however the moment that he left she completely lost it, but for the most part J-Law did a great job of just, joking around with him. She did wait until Jack left and then just dropped her calm and collected persona.
I loved all your movies. Oh really? Do I look like a new girl, bro?
I thought about it.
Oh my god.
The best part is that after she thought he walked away, Jack came back with sunglasses on and scared her again. I think I would have also had a panic attack if Jack Nicholson just appeared beside me. Would have been very embarrassing to catch on camera, so we can't blame her for that. In number 8, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson seems to be really enjoying his retirement for the time being, although it was while spending time with his family and having his daughter record him that we got to witness one of the best celebrity fails ever. What was meant to be a fun ride around his house turned into a viral video that made Mike the talk of the town all over again. At least he was able to laugh at himself and not get mad at his daughter for filming it all. Mike Tyson is so humble now that he even posted the video after he recovered from that nasty fall. Turns out the only person that could knock down Tyson was a hoverboard, and it did it within a couple of seconds. New record. In at number 7, Zac Efron. While at the premiere for the movie The Lorax, Zac was doing his thing walking the red carpet and snapping some photos where necessary. At some point, a red carpet assistant calls him over and he begins reaching into his pocket for something. I don't know if she wanted a pen or what, but he dives into his pocket, and as he pulls out whatever he gave her, a condom drops onto the ground. Now obviously all eyes were on Zac because of the nature of the red carpet, but he acted swiftly. He immediately swooped down and threw it into his back pocket and then did not address anyone asking him what had fallen out. Although the video has been watched so many times that this embarrassing moment was certainly seen by everyone. He later addressed it on a talk show and said that he has now implemented a pocket check before walking down the red carpet. Probably a good idea. In number 6, Julianne Hough. While Julianne Hough was attending the Casamigos Tequila Halloween party, she stepped out of her ride along with some friends dressed as the cast of Orange is the New Black. The main issue with this is that Julianne was dressed as the character called Crazy Eyes, played by actress Uzo Aduba. Along with that, she wore a full-on blackface instead of, not doing that and maybe just doing her hair similar. I just don't get the desire to paint your face another race, even if it's for a Halloween costume. It just feels really gross. Although because Julianne is adored in Hollywood, she felt almost zero backlash from her peers, including the actress she impersonated. In response to the backlash online she received, Hough took to Twitter and said, "I am a huge fan of the show Orange is the New Black, actress Uzo Aduba, and the character she has created. It certainly was never my intention to be disrespectful or demeaning to anyone in any way. I realize my costume hurt and offended people, and I truly apologize." That's all well and good, but it's still a very embarrassing celebrity moment. In number 5, James Franco. The dangerous thing with James Franco interacting with his fans is that he realizes just how famous he is and therefore believes that he can get away with a lot of terrible stuff. For example, the time that he decided to slide into the DMs of a fan that was underage. A girl from a small Scottish town was on a trip to New York City when she ended up getting to meet Franco at his Broadway show called Of Mice and Men. After tagging him in an Instagram video that is no longer available, James began flirting with her through the app. Lucy didn't believe that it was actually James Franco, so she inquired about proving his identity, which he did with no issue. He was very aggressive with trying to get his fan into his bed though, which really changes the way that you look at him. I mean, asking if he should get a hotel room right after asking if she was single is just a little fast, Then to see her tell him that she would come back to NYC when she turned 18 only made him persist, which was even more gross and proved that he had really crossed the line in this very embarrassing moment. In number 4, Jussie Smollett. The former star of Empire, Jussie Smollett, got himself into some real trouble with Chicago police after he faked a racial attack on himself. At midnight on January 29, 2019, Smollett said that he was attacked on a Chicago street outside of his hotel room. According to the report, he told the police that 2 white men in ski masks yelled racist and homophobic slurs at him as they tied a rope around his neck, poured bleach on him, and yelled, "This is MAGA country." Now, these are serious allegations, and the entire internet was furious, with many calling it a modern day lynching. Later on, investigators found 2 potential suspects. Although the brothers were initially suspects, they told investigators that Mr. Smollett had coordinated a fake attack and paid them to participate in it. A far stretch from the 2 white MAGA hat wearing men that Jussie had described. Although even though he filed a false police report and then lied under oath, Jussie skated by without any criminal charges. This is still a developing case, but we're assuming the Chicago PD isn't going to let him get away with this. Jussie was recently indicted on 6 new charges which allege alleged that the actor planned and participated in the staging of a hate crime against himself. In at number 3, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is well known at this point for flying off the handle on his Twitter account. Much like Lil Jon, he loves him some all caps tweets. This tweet in particular though is embarrassing for a whole host of other reasons. On May 5th, 2016, Trump tweeted out, "Happy Cinco de Mayo, the best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower. Grill, I love Hispanics." There is so much to unpack in what is possibly considered his most famous tweet. First of all, his policies definitely do not reflect that he loves Hispanics. Secondly, people did some research and apparently Trump Tower Grill didn't even sell taco bowls at the time that he made the tweet. So you can just imagine how staged this really had to be. Then on his desk you can see a photo of his ex-wife Marla Maples from what appears to be an old bikini contest. The photo also prompted a lot of people to start wondering if Trump was addicted to the methamphetamine drug called Sudafed, because as you can see in his open drawer there are a few boxes that are stacked up there. This claim was later confirmed to be false upon further investigation that revealed the box said Sudafed's mucus relief day and night. So that would suggest that he kept it in case he got sick, I guess. That did not stop the internet though from making its wild claims, and still to this day it's a bit of a conspiracy theory as to whether or not the president is all hopped up on pills. I mean, if his Twitter account is any indication of his mental state, I'd say he's on something. In at number 2, Charlie Sheen. While attempting to help out Justin Bieber, Charlie Sheen thought that he was sending out a private message on Twitter. However, instead he tweeted out his phone number to his 5 million plus followers. He simply said, "Call me, bro." I mean, who knew the king of Tiger Blood and Bieber were so close? I'm sure that number is disconnected now, but can you even imagine the volume of phone calls and text messages that he was getting? If he was using an iPhone, it probably caught fire. I mean, we're talking thousands of texts and calls at least. It's embarrassing and really shows his age. Last but certainly not least on our number 1 spot, Cardi B. While it was quite the surprise for everyone, including Cardi B, I'm assuming by now you are aware that after Cardi's birthday bash where she reunited with Offset, she also accidentally uploaded something to her Instagram stories that should not have been there. During an Instagram live, Cardi explained to her fans exactly how that happened. She was laying in bed with Offset and decided to take a photo of them together, but unfortunately the pic snapped and then immediately was sent off into the ether of the internet for all to see. It was embarrassing, and by the time that she had turned her phone back on to delete it, everyone and their mother had already witnessed all that is Cardi B. She also got dragged through the mud for doing this, but honestly we should just leave her alone. It was a mistake and a very embarrassing one at that, so the best thing we can do is just respect her privacy. Coming in at number 10, Snooki. Nicole, also known by her reality show nickname Snooki, began appearing as a main character for the show Jersey Shore back in 2009. This is where the name Snooki really stuck and her popularity began to rise. The New York Times even referred to her as the breakout member of the cast. Now at 32 years old, the New Jersey native has come a long way from her drunken outbursts on the Jersey Shore. Although the reason I bring her up for this list is to remember that very embarrassing episode of her being arrested on the beach. In 2010, Nicole was acting in a disorderly manner while on the beach as reported by the Seaside Heights police chief. It was brutal to watch on that episode as well, just seeing her falling over drunk and no one around even trying to help her. I don't know what's more embarrassing though, the fact that she passed out drunk on a beach or the fact that it was all captured on camera. And before we move on to our next point, I need you guys to hit that like button because it really helps us out. Coming in at number 9, John Travolta. Back in 2014, actor John Travolta famously mispronounced Idina Menzel's name while introducing her at the Oscars.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
John would later appear on Jimmy Kimmel's show to explain why exactly he called the Let It Go singer Adele Dazeem. When reflecting on the incident, John had this to say. "The truth is, I was expected backstage and it was getting very close to the time I was supposed to go on, and suddenly a page, an assistant to you, grabbed me and said, 'You're on in a minute.' I was like, 'What happened to 15 minutes?' And they didn't explain. Later I found out my actual page got stuck in an elevator and couldn't communicate to anybody, so the backup came to get me." He then goes on to blame Goldie Hawn for distracting him backstage with her beauty, and then he shifts the blame to an assistant who said that they were changing Idina's name to phonetic spelling, although the pronunciation was never explained to him, and thus he was rushed out onto the stage and we got this very embarrassing celebrity moment. In at number 8, Kanye West. Even though it's been more than a decade, Kanye continues to shade Taylor along with his wife Kim, doing illegal things like releasing phone call conversations without the other person's consent. That was a mouthful. Now this story has gotten even crazier though, with Kanye actually claiming that God told him to interrupt Taylor Swift. Very embarrassing. To refresh your memory of the event, allow me to cover some of the key details. The bizarre interaction took place at the start of the night when a 19-year-old Taylor Swift was accepting the award for Best Female Video. However, as she was giving her acceptance speech, we all watched a drunken Kanye run onto the stage. He then proceeded to grab the microphone from Taylor and said,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
In at number 7, Ashley Simpson. This video still gives me secondhand embarrassment. In the video you can see all this confusion when Ashley realizes that the track started playing before she even had the microphone up to her face, so she just awkwardly dances instead. Maybe that's where the Fortnite Take the L dance came from. At that point, you can't even really salvage the performance. I mean, it's called Saturday Night Live for a reason. So she just did her little dance, said that she was sorry, blamed it on her band for playing the wrong song, and then it was all quick cut to commercial from there. During an interview several years later, she was asked about this, and here's what Ashley had to say.
What happened there was I had a vocal problem. I had two nodes beating against each other, and I woke up and I had no voice. And then I should have said, no, I will not go on, I will not do this. And
in at number 6, Rita Ora. Aside from being a talented musical act, Rita has also acted in some pretty big films. She was in 50 Shades of Grey and even appeared in Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Here's where she got caught doing something very embarrassing though. She posted this tweet that said, "Dropping my new song Monday if this gets 100,000 retweets," and it got way less than that, which then resulted in this drastic narrative change. She then tweeted, "By the way, my Twitter got hacked. Somebody is threatening to release new music I've worked really hard on. Nothing comes out until I'm ready." Funny enough, that tweet had more retweets than her previous one, but again, nothing even close to 100,000 retweets, so she was dreaming. And by the way, she has 6.8 million followers, so embarrassing bots too. In at number 5, Justin Timberlake. Way back in 2003, Justin Timberlake was best known as a member of the boy band NSYNC, although even JT was not safe from Ashton Kutcher's prank show called Punk that aired on MTV. In this embarrassing celebrity moment, we have Justin Timberlake absolutely losing his mind as he comes home to find that his entire home is being repossessed by the IRS. Timberlake then begins to cry and go a little bit crazy, but there was a reason for that. During an interview that he did with Playboy magazine, Justin explained why that incident was so embarrassing for him. In the interview he said, "I actually stopped smoking pot for 9 to 10 months after Punk'd. I was so stoned. If you ask my friends if they're honest, they would probably say that that's the only way to get me as dizzy as I was." What you didn't see from that episode, because it was 45-minute affair cut down to 10 minutes, was me showing up and being like, "What the f*** are you people doing on my property? Get the f*** off my property, get the f*** out of here." Then they started rattling off my parents' address and I was like, holy shit, hold on a second. I mean, everybody was got good on that show, me probably the best. Definitely the best. In at number 4, Fergie. Sometimes we have to go pee so bad that we just can't hold it, and it turns out Fergie couldn't hold her bladder better than anyone else could in this situation. At a 2005 concert, Fergie had a very embarrassing moment where a bit of fluid began to appear on the front of her pants. The suspicious stain was originally scoffed off as nothing but sweat, but as the years went on, Fergie ended up admitting that she did in fact wet herself. During an interview that she did with Blender, Fergie said, "It was horrible, but whatever, it happened." She then found herself revisiting the infamous situation again on Hot 97's Morning Radio, where she said that it was a combination of a full bladder and being rushed onto the stage. To quote Fergie again, she said, "I'm running on and we jump and do Let's Get It Started, and I get crazy and I jump and I run across the stage and my adrenaline was going, and gosh, I wish it didn't happen. It was so embarrassing." In at number 3, Aubrey Plaza. Typically when you get a couple of comedic actors together like Will Ferrell and Aubrey Plaza, you would think the end result would be funny. Unfortunately, no one found this embarrassing stunt funny, and instead Aubrey was unceremoniously escorted out of the building. At the MTV Movie Awards in 2013, a barefoot Aubrey Plaza ran onto the stage in an attempt to pry away the Golden Popcorn Award from Will Ferrell. The moment appeared to be a failed attempt to mock the great Kanye West interruption from the 2009 VMAs. Will still tried to play it off and joke that the bit was staged, but according to MTV, Miss Plaza was taken out of the award show by network executives and even had the head of Viacom security scolding her. It was not a good look and overall a terrible idea with poor execution. In at number 2, Justin Bieber. Back in 2012, Justin Bieber had a terrible incident on stage the very first night that he started his world tour. He didn't throw up once, he threw up twice all over center stage right before running to the back mid-performance. According to Bieber, he blamed the embarrassing accident on drinking too much milk before the concert. Justin did end up returning, but this time announced to the crowd that he was going to slow things down a bit because the pyrotechnics in his stomach were acting up. When Bieber took to the stage again, he told his fans that the rest of the performance was going to be hard for him because he wasn't feeling great after throwing up in front of a bunch of people. He then asked them if they will still love him even though he just literally puked on the stage, and the crowd that night replied with a resounding shriek of approval. Last but certainly least in our number 1 spot, Robin Thicke. This one is next level embarrassing for just everyone involved. His summer smash called Blurred Lines certainly started to explain his real life. Robin was happily married to wife Paula Patton, for whom he shares a son with. However, in 2013 he threw his entire marriage under the bus as a photo emerged of the singer getting a little too personal with a female fan, who was later identified as socialite Lana Scolaro. In the photo taken, you can see that the mirror behind Lana and Robin catches him with his hand going right up her dress. The photo appeared to have been taken at an MTV VMA after party in New York City, which also just so happened to be the night night that Robin had done his controversial performance with Miley Cyrus. So you know when he got home that night he had a lot of apologizing to do. In at number 10, Travis Scott. This one was hard to watch go down, especially when you take into consideration how much Travis Scott probably spent on his custom Halloween costume. It definitely wasn't the worst Halloween costume in the world, but Trav still felt the heat online. Fans and followers began to make fun of him relentlessly, and the bullying got so bad that he even ended up deleting his entire Instagram page. Although he never provided a statement about being publicly shamed, it was assumed his Instagram deactivation was a result of the teasing. One user tweeted, "Travis Scott is drowning in millions of dollars right now and he couldn't get a good Batman costume? Shaking my head." Although many people ridiculed those teasing Travis and accused them of jealousy, they also made a very valid point when they said that his silly Batman costume is probably worth more than their house, which, yeah, probably is. Ooh, also real quick before we hit our next point, I need you guys to hit that like button because it really helps us out. And with that out of the way, let's just get right back to it. In at number 9, Will Smith. When Jada Pinkett Smith confirmed that she was romantically involved with singer August Alsina during an episode of her Facebook watch show called Red Table Talk, she spoke openly about it while sitting across from her husband Will Smith.
You giving permission, which is, you know, the only person that can give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes.
The thing that really baffled people was that she did this with her son's friend. You know, Jaden is the one that introduced August to the house, and then he went and got himself entangled with his buddy's mom. I mean, come on, man, that's greasy. During the one-on-one interview with Will, Jada explained that her and August had become good friends, but I guess he missed the memo on keeping things hush-hush. August came out and claimed that he and Jada had started a relationship while she was married, and Will had given them permission, which was completely false and only blew this thing up in the press even more. The couple also revealed in their conversation that they had briefly separated when Jada began seeing August, but with that behind them, they are apparently now committed to one another. Even so, this remains a very embarrassing video for Will Smith. Coming in at number 8, Hugh Grant. While some accents may sound charming, Hugh Grant's personality canceled out any of that for Jon Stewart at The Daily Show. After appearing on the show, Jon Stewart said that he was banning Grant for being a big pain in the ass. Stewart saying that he would never grant him permission back on the show, pun intended. During an onstage Q&A, John remarked that they had dictators on the show, but Hugh Grant was still his least favorite guest. Yikes. Apparently Hugh spent most of the day just complaining that he had to be there and even flat out said that he had better things to do, for which the staff of The Daily Show didn't really care to hear, nor did Stewart. So thanks to his high maintenance attitude, he was banned from the show with zero apologies, and I gotta say, that's pretty embarrassing. Coming in at number 7, Kevin Hart. This entire cheating scandal with Kevin Hart was recently covered on his new docuseries on Netflix, where he fully details what went down that night in Las Vegas. The show even interviews his wife Aniko as she emotionally recaps when she saw the video and how it made her feel. While Kevin was with a friend in Vegas, he cheated on his wife and then his own friend was the one that set him up. Yes, Kevin did do this to himself and he takes full responsibility for his mistakes, but can you imagine your own friend trying to blackmail you like that? The woman sent his wife the video, and then later on the pair decided that they were going to use it as leverage to get Kevin to pay them $60 million. Instead, that man went to jail for an attempted extortion, and Aniko and Kevin seem stronger than ever, but still, it's a very embarrassing moment for Kevin that he had to really live while he was out touring, while he was filming movies. It was a mess. Coming in at number 6, Alec Baldwin. Yes, that is just the end bit of a string of harassing voicemails that Alec Baldwin would leave his daughter. More concerning is that she was 12 years old at the time. He actually called her a rude, thoughtless little pig. Why, you ask? Well, because she forgot to take his call at the time that they had agreed upon. Look, I get if you're concerned for her safety and that's why you need the calls to check in, but she's 12, dude. You don't scream at a kid like that. You shouldn't scream at anyone like that. Alec took a ton of heat for this to the point where he even contemplated suicide. Instead, he wrote a book called A Promise to Ourselves, A Journey Through Fatherhood and Divorce. The book detailed his long divorce that involved 90 court proceedings and $3 million in legal fees, as well as the alienation that he felt from his daughter after everything that had happened. Luckily, years later, his daughter Ireland was able to roast her dad on Comedy Central, although being embarrassed in public hardly seems like a sufficient punishment for the childhood trauma that he caused his daughter, but you be the judge. Coming in at number 5, Nate Robinson.
Mamma mia, the problem child proving to be a big problem for Nate.
And I guarantee you that when former NBA player Nate Robinson stepped into the ring with YouTuber Jake Paul, he did not think that he was going to become a viral meme for weeks. For the most part, Nate looked very untrained and was just throwing punches wildly throughout the fight. Jake then knocked Robinson out in the second round of the fight after first catching him with a huge uppercut and then putting him away with a straight right hand. I had always heard that getting hit on your chin is a soft spot for being knocked out, but damn, he literally bounced when he hit the canvas. There wasn't even a light on in his frontal lobe for him to cushion his fall. It's probably going to take some time before Nate Robinson scrolls the internet because his lack of training really showed in this one, and he was brutally bullied for it. Coming in number 4, Kanye West. The word disaster is really the only way to truly describe the Kanye West rally in South Carolina. With the year of our Lord 2020 shaved into the back of his head whilst wearing a flak jacket that read security, Kanye rambled about his campaign for about an hour. This was his very first presidential campaign rally, which was held, as I mentioned, in South Carolina under his political banner called the Birthday Party. Still funny to me. Then Kanye said that all Harriet Tubman did was free the slaves so that they could be slaves to other white people. It was a rally filled with controversies, but the biggest moment was when Kanye broke down into tears as he openly told the crowd that he nearly aborted his own daughter. This clearly was a sensitive subject for him and left the crowd absolutely baffled. Following this, Kanye would continue to make headlines as many political opponents accused him of trying to split the vote. Coming in at number 3, Jake Paul. This man's whole career has been made up of wild antics, controversy, and embarrassing others. Thankfully, we're going to be focusing in on Jake embarrassing himself rather than his friends for once.
Yo, you good?
Jake had done another video of him stacking a bunch of red cups before inevitably falling off the ladder, thus bringing down the pyramid of sadness. Well, he tried it again, but this time opted for the more comfortable fall by stacking toilet paper rolls. You know, in the middle of a pandemic, when there was a shortage of toilet paper rolls at the time. Although Jake adds to the embarrassment of this post by first having his dog jump across them before he topples onto them. God, this guy needs to go away. Coming in at number 2, Chris Evans. Captain America gave America a lot more than just America's. Back in September, Chris uploaded a screen-recorded video of him and his siblings playing the game Heads Up to his Instagram stories. However, what he didn't realize was that in that video there was a brief frame that had his camera roll in it. Someone then took a screenshot of this and immediately it went viral on Twitter. You see, within the images were some interesting memes featuring himself that he had saved, and then another was, well, there's no easy way to say this, Thor's hammer. I don't know. Someone must have contacted him quickly because he removed the video not too long after, but the photos and memes had already begun. However, instead of just tucking his tail between his legs, Chris tweeted this out. Now that I have your attention, vote November 3rd. Hey, at least he used the publicity. Coming in at number 1, Amy Schumer. Comedian Amy Schumer named her son Gene Attell, which she soon realized sounded too similar to the word genital. God, can you imagine the bullying this poor kid would have had to go through? Not only is your mom Amy Schumer, but you're also named after the family jewels. I mean, that's a rough hand to be dealt in life. Amy revealed on her podcast that her child's full name was Gene Attell Fisher, with the middle name coming from the great comedian Dave Attell. Although at 11 months old, Schumer opted to change the unfortunate homonym. In response to everyone calling her out for this mistake, Schumer said, "So do you guys know that Gene, our baby's name, is officially changed? It's now Gene David Fisher." She then went on to say, "It was Gene Attell Fisher, but we realized that we by accident named our son Genital." At least she was able to still work in an homage to her favorite comedian. It's not a complete loss.
At number 10, Whoopi Goldberg. I think we've all had one of those moments where we try to quietly let out a fart and it just comes out louder than expected. Trying to be sneaky about it doesn't always work out, and the same went for Whoopi Goldberg, or at least that's what she tried to convince us of. In December of 2014, Whoopi was on air of The View talking with singer Ashanti about flu shots. While in the middle of the conversation, a loud noise was heard which sounded like a long toot, which ended the conversation pretty abruptly.
Not get the shot. I feel like, why do I want to inject something into my skin that's gonna make
Excuse me?
Yeah, whoa.
Whoopi stood up and excused herself for her gassiness, blaming it on a breakfast burrito that she had earlier. Why is it always the burritos that get blamed for these things? Burritos do not deserve that kind of bad rep. Anyway, the embarrassing incident was dubbed Fartgate, and the clip of the incident was being circulated around the internet, being viewed thousands of times. In the end though, Whoopi came out and said that it wasn't actually a fart and that it was a noise that just came out of nowhere, and she decided to be funny and play it off. Maybe that's true, or maybe she was just so embarrassed that she needed to blame it on something else. There wasn't a dog there, so she had to say, you know, anything. At number 9, 50 Cent. For a lot of celebrities, throwing the first pitch at a baseball game can be a momentous moment in their careers. Being one of the members of the Celebrity Baseball Club, you would be joined by singers, actors, and even some members of Sesame Street. So your first pitch may hold the attention of many. Unfortunately for rapper 50 Cent, his first pitch was one of his most embarrassing moments just because it was so bad.
And his first pitch was not great. Just a bit outside.
His first pitch has been dubbed one of the worst first pitches in history because of how terrible that throw was. It is said that his throw was about 20 feet off course and that the ball nearly hit a cameraman. He made a big deal about his physique and athleticism leading up to this and even had some great throws while practicing, but I guess you can say he dropped the ball on this one. Ha. I'm not funny. When asked what went wrong, his excuse was that he threw out his arm from, pleasuring himself too much, so do with that information what you will. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like on the video because it really helps to support the channel. At number 8, Billie Eilish. If you are a famous performing artist, I'm sure that one of the worst things that could happen to you on stage is forgetting your own song. Well, unfortunately, this is exactly what happened with Billie Eilish at her concert at Coachella. During her 2019 performance, Billie was singing her song All the Good Girls Go to Hell when she suddenly forgot the words to her song. In the moment, you could tell that Billie was a little flustered by her brain fart, but her loyal fans came to her aid as they sang her song and helped her get back on track. This was her first time performing at an event like this, so that kind of pressure was probably what caused her to slip up like that, but it must have still been quite embarrassing for her. At number 7, Adele. Are you guys familiar with that scene in Mean Girls where Katie breaks the spring fling queen crown into pieces and shares it with the other girls? Well, that's kind of what happened with Adele at the 2017 Grammy Awards. Adele ended up winning the award for Album of the Year for her album 25, beating out Beyonce's Lemonade album. Well, this win took Adele by surprise, and when she was giving her acceptance speech, she said that she didn't deserve the award, saying, quote, "I can't possibly accept this award and I'm very humbled and very grateful and gracious, but my life is Beyonce, and the album to me, the Lemonade album, Beyonce was so monumental and so well thought out," end quote. Well, in an almost Mean Girls sort of way, Adele ended up snapping her Grammy in half on stage. In the embarrassing moment, people thought that Adele was breaking her award in half to symbolically share it with Beyonce, but it turns out the break was just an accidental embarrassing moment. Luckily, the Academy was able to replace it with a brand new one though. At number 6, Sofia Vergara. Wardrobe malfunctions are very unfortunate events for anyone, but imagine how embarrassing that must be for a celebrity. Having malfunctions while surrounded by cameras and prying eyes must take the embarrassment level up to 1,000,000 because you know that these pictures are going to live on the internet forever. Well, for Sofia Vergara at the 2012 Emmy Awards, this is kind of what happened to her. Just 20 minutes before winning an Emmy for the show Modern Family, Sofia had a wardrobe malfunction that caused her dress to rip, tearing a hole along the backside of her dress. The dress's zipper broke, exposing Sofia's bare butt, and she even had someone take a picture of it for her so she could see the damage. Being a good sport about it, she shared some of the images of the malfunction with her followers and kept them updated on her dress's status over the course of the night. She was able to just laugh it off since it wasn't a huge deal after getting it fixed, but it still must have been quite the embarrassing moment. At number 5, Katy Perry. Back in 2008, when Katy Perry was just blowing up, she was asked to perform at the MTV Latin America Awards. She was still riding the hype from her song I Kissed a Girl, so the award show figured that bringing her in would get them a lot of viewers. Well, let's just say that her appearance at the show was totally worth it. While performing her hit song, Katy had a giant cake brought out as a prop. Yes, a real cake with real icing. Anyways, during her performance, she decided to jump onto the cake, but not very gracefully though, more like a belly flop, covering herself in frosting. Well, as if that wasn't embarrassing enough, after she got off the cake, she started sliding around, unable to keep her balance. She ended up falling several times, failing to get up because the icing was so slippery, and even her guitarist was having a hard time keeping her up. This all happened live, so I'm sure it was super embarrassing for her. The award show, however, brought in some serious media attention after that. At number 4, Matthew McConaughey. One of Matthew McConaughey's more embarrassing moments has to come from his arrest in 1999, where he was detained while naked in his house playing bongos. It's a wild story. Basically, Matt here was just living his best life, playing bongos bongos and getting high while on his couch naked when the police were called and arrested the actor for, quote, disturbing the peace. He described his night as being a jam session where he opened his windows while listening to African beats and smoking until he was interrupted by police officers barging into his house and handcuffing him on the ground. Matthew also recalled refusing to cover himself up while being detained. While being escorted from his house, he recalled his neighbors gathering and watching him from their houses. By the next morning, news of this incident broke around the world, and 2 days later, Bongo Naked t-shirts were being sold. This embarrassing moment ended up becoming merch, and his unfortunate jam session is now one of his most famous embarrassing moments. At number 3, Madonna. Remember in the Incredibles movie when Edna Mode said no capes? Well, Madonna should have listened to that. While performing at the Brit Awards in 2015, Madonna experienced some embarrassment with a side of whiplash after an unfortunate cape incident. It all happened when she was performing a bit of a stunt where she was supposed to untie the cape that she was wearing for her dancers to rip off dramatically, but things didn't really turn out that way. Instead, Madonna wasn't able to untie the cape since it was tied too tight, and so when the dancers went to yank off the cape, she was pulled down too. In a turn of events, Giorgio Armani released a statement about the incident since the cape in question was made by their company, saying that the cape originally had a hook, but Madonna insisted that she have strings instead, so the malfunction wasn't their fault. Luckily, the singer wasn't too badly injured and was able to carry on performing after the incident, but it was still an embarrassing moment. At number 2, Drake. Speaking of Madonna, she was the cause of one of Drake's embarrassing moments back in 2015. While performing at Coachella that year, Madonna planted a big old kiss on the rapper and he did not take it well. Drake's disgusted reaction of the kiss went viral online, mainly Vine. Oh, how I miss Vine. Later on, Drake issued a statement about the kiss saying that his reaction was taken out of context and that he wasn't grossed out because of the kiss itself, but because of the gross taste of her lipstick. It was still a funny moment and it was a little embarrassing for Drake, but amazing meme fuel. At number 1, Justin Bieber. Earlier we talked about how Billie Eilish forgot the words to her own song, but here's another instance of a singer failing to perform their own song, but instead of it being because of nerves or pressure, it was just chalked up to language. 2017 was the year of Despacito. Everyone was obsessed with the song, that is until we got sick of hearing it on the radio every 10 minutes. Well, when asked to perform his hit song, Justin had a little trouble, and not only was it embarrassing, it was just plain sad. Instead of singing the real words to his song, he instead replaced the lyrics with Spanish words that he already knew. For example, he sang, quote, "I don't know the words so I say Dorito, I don't know the words so I say poquito, and I ate a burrito." I'm not very fluent in Spanish, but I'm pretty sure those aren't the words. You would think that he would at least know enough Spanish to get through his own song, but sadly no.
In at number 10, Kris Jenner. Kris is the manager or momager of the Kardashian brand, which must take some sort of knowledge and intellect to complete. However, in 2012 she used Twitter in a very bizarre way. Kris tweeted out, "I feel like there's a giant meatloaf inside of me." Too much information, Kris. Just eat some prunes and drink some Pepto-Bismol and that meatloaf should slide right out. In at number 9, Charlie Sheen. While attempting to help out Justin Bieber, Charlie Sheen thought he was sending out a private message on Twitter. However, instead he tweeted out his phone number to his 5 million plus followers. Call me, bro? Who knew the king of Tiger Blood and Bieber were so close? I'm sure that number is disconnected now, but can you even imagine the volume of phone calls and text messages that he was getting? If he was using an iPhone, it probably caught fire. I mean, we're talking thousands of texts and calls at least. It's embarrassing and really shows his age. In at number 8, Amanda Bynes. In 2012, Amanda Bynes' entire Twitter account was embarrassing to say the least. I mean, look at this photo she tweeted out. Something was seriously wrong with her mental state. After she was arrested for drunk driving, Bynes tweeted at then President Barack Obama, "Hey at Barack Obama, I don't drink, please fire the cop who arrested me. I also don't hit and run, the end." Yes, because Barack Obama has nothing on his schedule that day, totally has the afternoon free to scroll through Twitter and then make some phone calls to get Amanda Bynes out of jail. The audacity of celebrities that think they can live outside of the law. In at number 7, J.K. Rowling. The author of Harry Potter will go down as having some of the most savage tweets out there. She has a very strong passion for shutting down trolls. In reply to someone mocking her wealth, J.K. Rowling said, "I'd type a longer retort, but these diamond buttons really hurt my fingers." Although sometimes you can take things a little too far, and J.K. Rowling does that sometimes as well. In response again to a hater who said, "Glad I caught this article on Yahoo, I will now burn your books and movies too," J.K. Rowling replied, "Well, the fumes from the DVDs might be toxic and I've still got your money, so by all means borrow my lighter." That is an insane thing to say to someone that is criticizing your work, and we're just gonna leave it at that. In at number 6, Paris Hilton. Back in September of 2010, the Hilton hotel heiress was arrested in Las Vegas, Nevada for possession of cocaine. Within the police report, they noted that the substance was found in a Chanel purse that she publicly denied was hers. She was insistent that the purse did not belong to her to avoid charges, of course. However, if you took a quick glance at her Twitter page, the clout monster was barking and she couldn't help but tweet this out. "Love my new Chanel purse I got today," and then she attached a photo of the purse. This is next level embarrassing. When your vanity is the reason that you get caught red-handed, something's gotta change. Either that or stay off of Twitter. In at number 5, Kim Kardashian. Clearly Kim K needs to brush up on her politics because the embarrassing tweets that she puts out about the Middle East sent an enormous wave of backlash her way. In the middle of the Israel-Hamas conflict, she tweeted out, "Praying for everyone in Israel." Then immediately following that she said, "And praying for everyone in Palestine and across the world." Oh, that's why there's been no peace in the Middle East for centuries, because Kim Kardashian has yet to pray for them. Well done, Kim. Well done. Following the backlash, she did decide to delete the tweets amongst death threats and very negative messages of her original pro-Israeli position. Kim would later clarify in a blog post that she was just wishing for a peaceful resolution. Yes, because all peaceful resolutions come from a Twitter account. In at number 4, Hulk Hogan. I used to love Hulk Hogan as a kid, but if given the chance I probably would not want to meet the man. On Twitter in 2013 he showed us the true meaning of cringe by posting this photo of his daughter Brooke, with the caption, "Brooke's legs." Many of his own followers dogpiled the comment section with #pervert and openly saying that their relationship was disgusting. It does kind of look like he's showing off a girlfriend of his, or even worse, pimping out his daughter to the internet. Judging by the fact that she's not even looking while the photo is being taken just ups the creep factor by 1,000,000. The funny thing with this embarrassing tweet is that the photo was removed from the locker site, but the original tweet is still active. So either he tried to remove it and just did a terrible job, or lockers may have taken it down due to its bizarre story of origin. I mean, there's gotta be a policy against posting creepy photos of your own daughter. In at number 3, Lil Jon. Lil Jon is one of the only Twitter accounts that makes you go, "What? Okay." By far the most embarrassing tweet the rap superstar has ever put out though was this one from 2010. "Was rushing home to take a dump and got caught behind a school bus dropping kids off. Longest 30 minutes of my life." I love that it's in all caps so you can really feel the urgency in this tweet. I guarantee he typed this out from the can. From all accounts, his followers love this tweet, with many leaving #relatable in the comment section. I wonder if this incident will ever make it into a song. Let's hope. Let's hope. Come on, Lil Jon, rushing home to the toilet, the puns just work so well.
"Sometimes I feel like I'm all alone in this world and I have no one, sir." What? No one. What? To go to. Huh? No one!
In at number 2, Kylie Jenner. Yes, the second Jenner to make our list, but I had to include this embarrassing tweet because, well, it's #relatable. The acronym YOLO has been around for a while. Drake only popularized the modern way to say carpe diem or live life to the fullest. I got this tattoo in June of 2011. Drake's song The Motto premiered on Power 106 October 31st, 2011, and Kylie Jenner finally understood what it meant on December 26th, 2011. Really spelling it out there for her legion of fans. Many of the comments were of course sarcastic, calling her woke for knowing this, or outright commenting that this has been established before. My favorite were the people that took it as a warning that she was about to do something crazy. Last but not least, at our number 1 spot, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is well known at this point for flying off at the handle on his Twitter account. Much like Lil Jon, he loves him some all caps tweets. This tweet in particular though is embarrassing for a whole host of other reasons. On May 5th, 2016, Trump tweeted out, "Happy Cinco de Mayo, the best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics." There's just so much to unpack in what is possibly considered his most famous tweet. First of all, his policies definitely do not reflect that he loves Hispanics. Secondly, people did some research and apparently Trump Tower Grill didn't even sell taco bowls at the time that he made this tweet. So you can just imagine how staged this really had to be. Then on his desk you can see a photo of his ex-wife Marla Maples from what appears to be an old school bikini contest. The photo also prompted a lot of people to start wondering if Trump was addicted to the methamphetamine drug Sudafed. As you can see in his open drawer, there's a few boxes stacked up. This claim was later confirmed to be false upon further investigation that revealed the box said Sudafed mucus relief day and night, so that would suggest that he just kept it in case he got sick. That did not stop the internet though from making wild claims that to this day is still a bit of a conspiracy as to whether or not the president is hopped up on pills. I mean, if his Twitter account is any indication of his mental state, I'd say he's on something.
First off, we have the 2024 Grammys. While Jay-Z was accepting his award, he took his mic time to look at his wife Beyonce in the audience and ask the Grammys why they have never given her Album of the Year. People were stunned, and so was Beyonce. Body language expert Judy James told The Mirror that Beyonce tried to hide her facial expressions with her white hat during her husband's acceptance speech. The expert believes that, quote, a loyal husband can be a dangerous thing, no matter how much they show love, plus an intrinsic drive to defend and protect. Judy shared that most women of today's era would prefer to stand up for themselves. Quote, you can argue Jay-Z has his heart somewhere in the right place in terms of velour, but Beyonce's frozen-looking symmetric smile seems to hint that she might just be feeling as mortified as many women would, she added. Judy shared, moaning about not getting an award means next year's awards will be poignant for Beyonce. If she fails again, she'll be hurt, but if she wins it, the hint will be that Jay-Z nailed it for her, rather than her own talent. Beyonce holds the record of winning the most Grammys ever, however she has never received the Album of the Year award. Next up, we have Jay-Z's cheating scandal. In 2013, rumors came out that the rapper had been cheating, and then there was #ElevatorGate that trended when Solange Knowles attacked Jay-Z while sister Beyonce stayed silent. More recently, Jay-Z's album 444 alluded to him being unfaithful. He wrote, look, I apologize, often womanized, took for my child to be born to see through a woman's eyes. The rapper and Beyonce had planned to do a joint album, but ended up doing solo records instead. We were using our art mostly like a therapy session, and we started making music together. And then the music she was making at that time was further along. So her album came out as opposed to the joint album that we were working on. Next up, we have the Lance Rivera situation. In 1999, Jay-Z was arrested for, let's just call this putting a knife into the young record executive Lance Rivera. Jay-Z believed Rivera distributed bootlegged copies of his then unreleased album, The Life and Times of S. Carter, which was not supposed to hit stores until later. After committing the crime, Jay-Z turned himself into the police, accompanied by his lawyer. A witness to the altercation said Jay-Z walked up to Rivera and said, Lance, you broke my heart. Rivera responded with, what? Before Jay-Z pulled out the knife, according to the witness. Jay-Z pled guilty and faced a 3-year sentence of probation. Next, we have the fact that Jay-Z was a substance dealer, we'll call it, in his teenage years. Speaking to Vanity Fair, Jay-Z opened up about his past, admitting that he was dealing substances to make ends meet. It was everywhere. It was inescapable. There wasn't any place you could go for isolation or a break, he said in an interview. You go in the hallway, there are people using in the hallway. You look out in the puddles on the curbs, everywhere. Jay-Z admitted that while he made a living selling substances, he never once used them. Jay-Z claimed that he did learn some of the business practices he does today from his time dealing the substances. I know about budgets. I was a dealer. To be in a deal, you need to know what you can spend, what you need to re-up. Next up, let's talk about Jay-Z suing Rita Ora for alleging that she still owed 4 more albums. Famous singer Rita Ora was sued by Jay-Z's album label Roc Nation, with Ora alleging the company lost interest after they focused their attention on other ventures such as streaming service Tidal and also a sports management company. Roc Nation's claim they sunk millions into Rita's career and that she owes them 4 more albums. Ora signed with Roc Nation in 2008 while she was an unknown artist and agreed to deliver 5 albums and has only produced 1. Ora's attorney Howard King said Jay-Z promised Ora, quote, total freedom from the label. In a statement, King believes that Sony Music made Roc Nation file the action to preserve whatever rights Sony had. Roc Nation alleged it was a breach of contract and they demanded $2 million plus be given back along with unspecified damages for the 4 undelivered albums. The lawsuit was settled between the two parties, with Rita Ora possibly signing with a new music label. Next, let's discuss Jay-Z being arrested for gun possession. In April of 2001, Jay-Z and 3 other men were arrested outside a Manhattan nightclub and held on charges of illegal gun possession. Police said that Jay-Z was detained when his bodyguard Hamza Hewitt was allegedly found with a firearm in his waistband. Hewitt, Jay-Z, and 2 other individuals were all charged with 3rd-degree criminal possession. The case was delayed until October 2001 when Jay-Z entered a plea of not guilty and was found not to have been part of the possession, but did face 3 years probation for his 1999 incident with Rivera, which we just talked about. Jay-Z also went under fire for his decision to host his famous Oscars after party in 2022 at the controversial Chateau Marmont Hotel. Every year, the rapper hosts one of the starriest parties of the night, known as the Gold Party, with attendees in previous years including Rihanna, Reese Witherspoon, Kanye West, and Kim K. His last party, which was held pre-pandemic in 2020, was at the Chateau Marmont. But Jay-Z's plans to throw the 2022 event in a lounge space at the Sunset Strip Hotel have been met with criticism due to an ongoing boycott of the property by some of its workers and celebrity guests over alleged racial discrimination at the venue. Kurt Peterson, the boss of workers union Unite Here Local, said in a statement, quote, for Jay-Z to choose the Chateau Marmont for the Gold Party is shockingly insensitive. They must move their event and choose an after-party hotspot that treats its workers, especially black women, with dignity and respect. Jay-Z has a responsibility to do better, he added. We hope Jay-Z joins Gabrielle Union, Issa Rae, Quinta Brunson, Ashley Nicole Black in boycotting Chateau Marmont. The union even organized a picket line outside the bash beginning at 8 p.m. the night of the party. In 2020, The Hollywood Reporter published an investigation of allegations against the Chateau Marmont, with employees claiming that black and Latino visitors were stopped and questioned when they were arrived more than white guests, claims that were confirmed by a representative for comedian Tiffany Haddish. The Chateau's law firm said at the time that workplace issues are regularly raised, as at any business, and swiftly investigated and addressed, adding that a whistleblower line is in place for employees to report issues or concerns directly to outside integrity counsel. Next, let's discuss 4040, Jay-Z's old nightclub. His nightclub 4040 was reported to have bounced checks. In 2003, reports claimed that 2 companies filed separate lawsuits against Jay-Z's nightclub for a total of $46,000 in unpaid bills to the 2 businesses that complained, claiming that they received rubber checks from 21's Inc., the rapper's company. Ronald Mark Associates was to be paid $18,000 for manufacturing 30 custom tables, but only received $5,000. Ron Berkowitz, a spokesman for 4040, downplayed the allegations, claiming the bouncing checks are a bum rap. Berkowitz said one suit was settled for $8,000 on November 2nd, 2003. The second lawsuit was without merit, but said they were countersuing Ronald Mark Associates after they couldn't deliver tables as promised before before the opening night. The next point is a bit shocking. Jay-Z reportedly shot his own brother when Jay-Z was only 12 years old. He said he did it because his brother stole one of his rings. How did he get the firearm? I went to someone's crib, someone's house, and got it, Jay-Z said, explaining how easy it was at the time to acquire a firearm. They were everywhere. You didn't have to go far to get one, they were just everywhere. After doing this to his brother, he believed he was going to jail, but his sibling refused to press charges and ended up apologizing to his brother because he was an addict. It was terrible. I was a boy, a child. I was terrified, he said in the interview. Lastly, let's discuss how he reportedly punched a female fan in 1999 at one of his concerts. Yikes. In footage from Jay-Z's concert film, Backstage, a scene from part of the film shows Jay-Z striking a young female fan back in 1999. The rapper appears to slap and then push her in front of him as he walks down a corridor with his entourage. A spokeswoman for the rapper says that the footage was being taken out of context. Speaking to the New York Daily News, she said, quote, "The person in that video is someone who he's worked with for years and they are very, very close. And for it to be exerted like that is an insult."
Coachella performances this year have been a mess across the board. We'll get to the big one at the end, but Grimes is unfortunately another victim of this. Grimes produces music in the lo-fi, R&B, and dance pop genres. Great choice for the festival. The tech for the festival didn't agree, I guess. Some of the DJ tracks were double the speed, among other random tech difficulties happening. It also apparently got so bad that Grimes screamed and cursed out of frustration. She had to stop the set multiple times, explain to the crowd in real time that she was having trouble mixing the songs because all the tracks were double the tempo. Overall, it sounds like a nightmare for the artist. The set actually got cut short because everything was going so wrong, and Grimes left the stage in the middle of one of her songs. She later apologized for the disaster on her X account, sharing that the reason the songs were messed up was because she had, in her words, outsourced essential things like record blocks, BPMs, and letting someone else organize the tracks on the SD card, etc. So it seems like someone else caused the speedy tracks. To add more context, Grimes went on to write, "The CDJs were showing me BPMs like 370, so I couldn't even mix manually by ear, and the front monitors were off, so it was literally sonic chaos on my end trying to guess how stuff was sounding for you guys." So it seems like the set truly was a hopeless case as Grimes couldn't even hear what was happening. Luckily, she has said that she will fix everything herself in time for her next performance, but this was surely something out of a nightmare. Tyler, the Creator, is known for his animated stage presence and out-of-pocket remarks, never shying away from anything, not even at America's biggest music festival. This edition was Tyler, the Creator, addressing a friend's past affections for him. The friend was Jared Carmichael. Jared has recently revealed he used to have a crush on Tyler and that Tyler didn't reciprocate the feelings. Tyler acknowledged this on the Coachella stage, saying, "I'm guessing y'all got TikTok and probably seen my homie on camera. I looked terrible." So it seems even long after everything went down, Tyler, the Creator, is still not into it. Jared did express in an interview with Esquire that he appreciated that Tyler was willing to have a conversation with him about his crush in the first place. Who knows if he expected this to be brought up on such a big stage though. Nelly Furtado has left it all on the stage, including her own red stuff. The singer of hits like Eat Your Man was giving an incredible and energetic performance, and it seems that was her literal downfall. She had a nasty fall on stage, though she did get up and finished the set with plenty of energy. She later posted a photo of a pretty busted up finger with some lines of red running down the side. It looked pretty painful, so it definitely speaks to her professionalism and love for her work that she was able to just get back up with something so serious. She did smile big for the photo, writing in the caption, "Left it all on the stage." She certainly did. One interview went south almost as quick as it started. Singer-songwriter and actress Teyana Taylor is known for films like 1001 and songs like Gonna Love Me, and now storming out of interviews. The singer was being interviewed but apparently didn't appreciate the line of questioning. She started to express frustration and then ultimately stormed out. It was an intense moment, tensions were high. The interviewer looked on the verge of tears, the poor girl. Sounds pretty serious, right? Well, turns out it was all a prank.
Taylor is just as funny as she is talented, it seems. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce make headlines wherever they go, even if they aren't doing anything. In this case, all the superstars did was watch Taylor's friend and Karma collaborator Coachella's performance. Ice Spice was performing all her hits and doing a great job. She even positively called out Taylor at one point, saying, "Shout out to Taylor, mother effing Swift," the statement being met with cheers from the audience. Taylor and Travis really were just minding their business, supporting Taylor's friend, dancing with each other, and yet phones that should have been pointed towards the stage were directed at Taylor. It must be so awkward knowing that just your presence is distracting from your friend's performance. It must also feel awkward just having a bunch of phone cameras filming you flash on. Yet the international superstar handled it well, keeping her eyes on the stage and supporting her friend. Let's spice things up. JoJo Siwa's radical shift has been the internet's favorite topic for the past couple weeks. In case you missed it or you have been on a month-long vacation with no internet access, JoJo Siwa has gone from rainbow rhinestones to black rhinestones. She is undergoing a shift in her brand. She wants to be seen as more adult to match her new song, Karma. The opening lyrics of the song, "I was a bad girl," didn't fit with JoJo's old persona, her words, and so she needed to update her look to sing the song. The most recognizable look from this new era of JoJo would have to be the look she wore to the iHeartRadio Awards 2024 that was also the costume from her Karma music video. This is the one where she looks like she's going on tour with Kiss. Everyone's been trolling her for the better part of a week. She claims she's made the most major image shift of her generation. But many people online are pointing out that she just went from color sparkles to black sparkles, and that the core of what people know JoJo's brand to be is still the same. JoJo did an interview in the Karma Fit while at the iHeart Awards, and it went viral very fast. It is being parodied on all corners of the internet. JoJo was asked who her dream guest would be on her podcast, to which she responded, "Let's spice things up, one of my exes." The internet took the outfit and the comment and the voice and ran with it, and there is a high chance that if you have scrolled your For You page in the last week, you have been hit with this embarrassing moment. Barbie was a mega hit, the message of the film resounding with women and men all over the world, but Joe Coy seemed to have missed the message entirely if his embarrassing Golden Globes joke is any indicator. One of the many messages in the Barbie movie was about Barbie being more than a doll, more than just a woman's body parts. That seemed to have gone right over Joe's head. Last summer was the summer of Barbenheimer. Barbie and Oppenheimer, both amazing films, were coming out at the same time, and then because of that, they were pit against each other and have been ever since. Joe Coy continued this trend, but in a more disrespectful way. He praised the source material from Oppenheimer, talking about how it was a Pulitzer Prize-winning book, but his comments about Barbie, based on a doll with big boobs, that's it. Clearly patronizing the success of the film that so many people have expressed meant something to them and spoke accurately of the issues women and men face in society. The joke fell so flat you could feel the awkward tension from the comfort of your living room. An uninterested crowd is a performer's worst nightmare. Blur, unfortunately, got to experience that at Coachella this weekend. The English rock band were performing their many hits at the festival, and yet the crowd seemed like they would rather be anywhere else. The band apparently tried engaging with the crowd multiple times, tried to bring up the energy, but no one was into it. Sometimes they were even met with silence. At one point, it got to be too much, and the lead singer, Damon Albarn, addressed the bad vibes, saying, "You're never seeing us again, so you might as well effing sing it." I imagine the feeling of being in that crowd would have been like getting scolded by a teacher. I'm glad I wasn't there. Fans of the band online were quick to comment on the situation. One fan writing, "I'm convinced Coachella has the worst vibes and people possible. It's Blur, show some respect." Others pointing out that maybe the audience was younger and not as familiar with the pop band as they were not from America. Still, if you're going to see a band, even if you don't know them that well, if they're trying to bring up the energy, give them something. Opening monologues seem to be a tough thing to put together. Shortly after the failed Golden Globes opening, we got Jimmy Kimmel's Oscar disaster. Not everything was bad, and we will get to that in a second, but there were a couple jokes in there that were the cutest. One that stands out was when Kimmel joked about Robert Downey Jr.'s past substance issues, something that RDJ has been very clear he doesn't like talking about. His face after Like Taylor's didn't look too pleased. There was also a moment where Kimmel made a joke about poor things that Emma Stone looked like she didn't appreciate. So yes, Jimmy Kimmel has had his share of of fails in that opening piece. However, he did make a point with one of his jokes. Director of Barbie, Greta Gerwig, did not get a nomination this year at the Oscars, something that many people believe was a massive snub. Kimmel acknowledged this in the monologue, saying, "Now Barbie is a feminist icon thanks to Greta Gerwig, who many believe deserved to be nominated for Best Director." The Oscars audience then started clapping in agreement, but then Jimmy caught them all with his next remark, saying, "You're the ones who didn't vote for her, by the way. Don't act like you had nothing to do with this. You did this." He's right. Most of the people in that audience were the people that voted. It's their fault Greta was snubbed. So why were they acting like they were supporting her when they caused the problem? Most recent moment is fitting right in the last spot on this list, Lana Del Rey's Coachella set. This is not to say that Lana did a bad job, she was giving. It's just the microphone was not, it kept cutting out. Lana is known for having a powerful yet soft voice. Coachella is outside, a good mic is important in this situation. Unfortunately, Lana did not have that. She had to do sound checks with the audience, asking if they could even hear her. Stopping and starting constantly did have an effect on the energy of the set, which was unfortunate, considering she started out so strong coming in on the back of a motorbike. Overall, it was a tragic day in Coachella history. There was a bright spot though. Lana brought out another artist for her headlining performance, a great pick too, they have similar styles, Billie Eilish. Worked great for Eilish too, more exposure, especially with the new music coming out soon.
The 29th Annual Critics' Choice Awards happened on January 14th of 2024, and there were some interesting moments to say the least. Some were heartfelt, others questionable, but today we're talking about embarrassing. Starting off strong, we have Chelsea Handler calling Robert De Niro and Harrison Ford old. This interaction takes the cake for the weirdest, most awkward, most uncomfortable and embarrassing moment of the entire award show, which is why I had to talk about it first. Chelsea first exposed herself when she said she had a preference for dating older men and really likes particularly old men. Her words exactly were, "I like old men who are around before the railroad was made." While it was intended to be a joke, it got an uncomfortable laugh from the audience. She followed that up by saying she's been attracted to both Harrison and Robert since she was young, and that they're both smoke shows, and she couldn't tell which one was more attractive that night. She finished off her spiel by saying they just kept getting more attractive as they kept getting older, and that she was going to stop before she embarrassed herself further. While this did have the audience laughing, Harrison was not impressed. Like, at all. He was spotted cringing slightly during her comments, but overall, just had that unimpressed old man face. It was giving everyone secondhand embarrassment. Following that, we have Ryan Gosling's face. He is no stranger to becoming internet memes. From Drive to The Notebook to Barbie, he sure knows how to please the internet with his iconic lines and faces. Well, that's exactly what happened at the Choice Awards. When Barbie was announced as the winner of Best Original Screenplay, his face was priceless because he wasn't expecting the movie to be announced as a winner, considering how much attention it got at the Golden Globes. So he was giving the camera an intense side-eye like he didn't really believe they won. We're sure he was happy to have won the award, but how unsure he was of the whole thing was hilarious. His deadpan expression took the world by storm as a reaction image, and Ryan has once again been made the meme of the month. Then we have Bella Ramsey roasting Ariana DeBose. Ariana is a trained singer and dancer as well as a trained actress. So when Bella made a dig at her while making her acceptance speech, it caused a bit of tension. Bella joked about actors who think they're singers, which was when the camera zoomed in on Ariana's very unpleased face. After the ceremony, she took to her Instagram to express how she felt about the comment, saying she did not find it funny. Well, her followers came to defend her, obviously, saying that she's a Broadway triple threat and she's trained in every category, and they don't blame Bella, but they blame the writers. But Bella never actually directed the comment at anyone. She could have been addressing Ryan Gosling, who had an entire musical number in the Barbie movie, but isn't actually a singer. But Ariana chose to take it personally because the camera zoomed in on her. It's embarrassing that she took it so deeply to heart when it may not have even been directed at her. Next on the list, we have Chelsea Handler dating Joe Coy and joking about it. For those of you who don't know, Joe Coy hosted the Golden Globes and absolutely bombed it. He made jokes that fell flat and some that just weren't funny at all. He called people out for things that were a little unnecessary and then blamed his terrible hosting skills on poor writing. And Chelsea did not hold back when calling all of that out at the Critics' Choice Award. She made a joke about Martin Scorsese, who was another silver-haired Hollywood character, but she thanked the audience for laughing at the joke, and said that her writers wrote it, and actually did a good job, which was an obvious Joe at Diggs' comments about the poor writing. She also described his blaming the writers as a rookie move, but her jokes do come from a deeper place, considering she dated Joe from 2021 to 2022, so there's a deeper emotion behind her much better jokes. Following that, we have how John Oliver won the Best Talk Show. The fact that they have a category for Critics' Choice of talk shows is embarrassing itself, because who's really willing to put in the time to critique a talk show, let alone pick the best one? Well, John Oliver's Last Week Tonight beat out all the other big name talk shows, like Graham Norton, Jimmy Kimmel Live, and The Late Night Show with Stephen Colbert, as well as Late Night with Seth Meyers. Kelly Clarkson's show was also in there too, but no one was betting on her to win. Good for him for stealing the win, but the embarrassment comes to the people who had to sit down and discuss which talk show was better. Then we have how half the shows weren't recognized. Don't get me wrong, it could totally just be me and my lack of TV knowledge, but half the movies and TV shows that won awards I've never actually heard of. Like, there were no ads or anything, or posters, or anything like that for them. A lot of them were made right for streaming, but even then, people usually get ads for it. We often know the critics have a vastly different opinion from the public, seeing as they like to go for the underdogs. But when the general public hasn't heard of half the nominations, maybe they should take a hint that their opinion doesn't mean that much in the public eye, even if it can determine the success of a movie on IMDb. Not to mention, a lot of the movies had up-and-coming actors, so a lot of the names weren't recognized, which has been proven to deter most people from watching new movies, simply because people like to be able to recognize big names and faces in movies. Next on the list, we have the movies made for television category. Can we talk about how embarrassing that is for people who think they're gonna be in a huge blockbuster hit, but to find out it's just made for television like a Hallmark movie? Now, I'm not discrediting those actors, because acting is a talent that not everyone can possess. But the fact that they made a whole category for movies that were never meant to hit the big screens is kind of sad, as much as it is considerate of the film critics to include them. But if we take a step back and look at it from a different point of view, they had to add a whole new category because of the world being in lockdown, and so many people being forced to adapt to that. At-home streaming is really killing the movie industry, because half the movies that are released are also released straight to streaming services, on specific services as well. Let us know what you think about that in the comments. Following that, we have the limited TV show category. There are two categories that are limited TV shows and limited movies. Now, to define limited is hard. Was it limited time and was an excuse for being unfinished? Was it a limited budget and they were just doing their best with the amount of money they had available? Was it a limited cast? They only have so many people working on set at a time? One way or another, it must feel embarrassing to create something with your whole heart and soul just for it to be categorized as a limited TV show. The title of the category almost feels demeaning to those who worked on it. Tom Holland was nominated for Best Actor in a limited TV series. He was literally the face of a new generation Spider-Man and was put in a limited category. Same with Kiefer Sutherland. He went from being a dramatic movie heartthrob to being an actor in a limited movie. Take that as you will, but we only set limits for ourselves. Second to last, we have how Scott Pilgrim Takes Off won. It just seems like such a silly thing to say, only because it is now getting recognition after being rebooted. Now, that isn't saying much. A lot of things become more popular once they've been rebooted, but the original Scott Pilgrim vs. the World movie came out in the early 2000s and was definitely viewed as more of an indie film and wasn't all that popular, despite its star-studded cast, like Michael Cera, Anna Kendrick, and Chris Evans. So to think it won the award for Best Animated Show was hard to believe. Not to mention it was contesting against Bluey, which took the world by storm, becoming one of the most popular kids show across the globe, but it was also competing against Bob's Burgers, the Harley Quinn animated series, and the new Star Trek animated series. So it had some really good competition and ultimately shocked everyone when it came out on top. I guess the critics aren't as fond as the Aussie accent dogs as the rest of the world is. And last but not least, we have Paul Giamatti's passive-aggressive comments. He beat out Cillian Murphy for the Best Actor for his role in The Holdover. And while he was making his acceptance speech on stage, he made some slightly passive-aggressive comments about his publicity. Just a week before the awards ceremony, he was caught eating a fast food cheeseburger in his full suit after coming from the Golden Globes, which he won at as well. So the photo was pretty interesting, to say the least. Cheeseburger in one hand with a Golden Globe in the other. What a life to live. But the comments he made were along the lines of, "Thank you for the publicity, I really needed it right there in that moment while I was vulnerable." They continued to make jokes about the situation and overall just brushed it off. But the fact that he got blown up on the internet for eating a cheeseburger is a little embarrassing. Starting off our list, we have how Joe Coy was described as the worst host ever. Now, Joe Coy is supposed to be a comedian, which means he's supposed to be funny, but he had the crowd pity laughing because his bits turned into more of a monologue, and people were less than impressed. He claimed he only got the gig 10 days before the event, so if they wanted him to be a perfect host, they should just shut up. Isn't it your whole job to be able to make and write jokes that are funny? No one expects perfection, but it could have at least been polished. Fans were blasting him on social media about his comments on Robert De Niro as well, because Joe said that he was sorry that he was a fan of his. And the fact that Robert De Niro got his 29-year-old girlfriend pregnant was his best performance yet, considering he's 80. While it did make the crowd laugh, his jokes came off as abrasive rather than funny. Which brings me to my next point. Joe Coy's jokes about Taylor Swift. One of the more abrasive jokes he made was about Taylor Swift, and we know how well those jokes go over. Well, the joke in question was that the difference between the Golden Globes and an NFL game was that there was less coverage of Taylor Swift. Some people gasped and other people chuckled, but Taylor did not appreciate it. She didn't even crack a smile. She just pursed her lips, took a sip of her drink, and glared at him with pure malice. The fact that she was just there for attendance made it worse, because she was there with her friends, notably Selena Gomez, who we'll talk more about later. But he went out of his way to call her out and felt the wrath of Swift fans. Which brings us to the next point, about how Joe Coy was backpedaling on the joke. After his hosting, Twitter went a little haywire. Fans were saying things like how he just walked on set and said, "I'm hosting," and no one did a background check to make sure that was a good idea. And that the audience was pity laughing because of his Barbie jokes, and it was more than obvious he missed the point of the movie. That and his monologue was just plain awful. But when fans got to the Swift jokes, he began backpedaling, trying to defend himself, saying that Taylor and Travis's relationship is cute. There just happened to be fewer cutaways. He then said, maybe she was just thirsty, maybe she just needed a drink and it was weird timing. No man, your joke wasn't funny and she didn't appreciate that. She's made it clear she was only at the games to support Travis, and she isn't worried about pissing off other fans, because she's just there for him, not for them. Following that up, we have Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner's appearance. To wrap my head around the fact that Timothée Chalamet is dating Kylie Jenner is already a hard one to picture, considering he looks 14 but he's really 28 and she's 26 but she looks 30. But because he was nominated, no one was really surprised he brought his girlfriend as a date. However, in classic Hollywood fashion, they showed up late, but they were adorable all the same. They were wearing matching black sequin outfits and were displaying a good amount of PDA throughout the ceremony, and were caught being absolutely smitten with one another. While it's adorable, it caused a little bit of tension, which brings me to the next point, about Kylie's protective energy. Of course, you can't blame Kylie for being protective, but when Selena Gomez asked Timothée for a photo because you know he's a famous actor, Kylie stepped in and said no. Selena took that back to the table and shared this with Taylor Swift, who she is really good friends with, like I mentioned before. But this isn't as surface level as Kylie being protective. It goes as far back as Selena's beef with Hailey Bieber. Taylor and Selena are besties, and Hailey and Kylie were besties. So obviously there's still some residual hate from Kylie towards Selena because of the incident that happened over the previous years. But you'd think she'd feel safe enough in their relationship that she wouldn't mind letting him take photos with fans. The whole thing seemed to have an off vibe to it, but it was embarrassing that Kylie had her insecurities outed like that. Next on the list, we have how Barbie was practically ignored despite winning. Now, Barbie was a smash at the box office, making $155 million on opening weekend alone, but aside from the jokes, it was relatively ignored throughout the ceremony. Now, that's not saying they didn't win. Billie Eilish won an award for the best song in a movie, while 2 other songs from the movie were nominated as well, and the movie itself won a cinematic and box office achievement. But the movie was nominated for a good chunk of the categories. Considering how many memes there were, how many songs were streamed from the movies, and how it affected the entire internet algorithm, awesome, I feel like it deserved a little more recognition than what it got, and it's almost embarrassing that it didn't. To follow that, we have how Studio Ghibli beat out Disney. Now, this is a huge feat. Disney owns just about everything, and they dominate the animation business, owning Pixar, Blue Sky, as well as a few other animation studios aside from DreamWorks. So for Studio Ghibli to pull ahead and out on top is incredible. They have a Japanese art style that's truly beautiful and magical, and it's been flying under the radar for years, considering they haven't released a new full-length movie in years as well, and they haven't made such a huge theater debut in decades. So for them to not only win, but beat out Disney Pixar's Elements and Disney's Wish, as well as Into the Spider-Verse, because Sony is also owned by Disney, while it's incredible that they won, the Disney name has to feel some embarrassment considering they had 3 movies in the running and still lost. Next up, we have how Killers of the Moonflower was also widely ignored. Now, this was predicted by a lot of avid movie watchers considering the nature of the film compared to everything else that was released this year. They received 7 nominations over many categories, but only won a single award. And it wasn't for the movie itself, but rather Lily Gladstone's portrayal of her character in the movie. So there has to be some embarrassment there. The fact that they lost on every front except hers. They say you can't win them all, but they didn't win any for the movie itself. But it did have a more serious subject matter compared to some of the other winners, and it wasn't received as well in theaters nor streaming services, considering it was a Paramount and Apple TV original. They were beaten out by mostly Oppenheimer, which makes sense overall, but it's still unfortunate for the movie cast and crew. Overall, fans may have enjoyed it, but like many other things, the Academy did not care for it. Second to last, we have how Timothée Chalamet was there for one category. Not only was he there for his role in Wonka, and was only nominated for 2 categories technically, both based on his character, but he lost in both categories as well. He and Kylie walked in there like they were big shot talk of the town just for him to lose. The least they could have done was be there on time to create less of a spectacle for themselves, since he seemed very confident he had the win. That's what happens when you get too full of yourself and your acting skills. You lose in front of your girlfriend, and the embarrassment from that was enough to take him down a notch. And last but not least, we have how the entire thing was described as lame and chaotic. Between Jo Koy's secondhand embarrassing monologue, which caused even Selena Gomez to bow and shake her head, to the lack of excitement from many attendees, it was described as rushed and unpolished, like he could have used some refining before he went on stage. People even described this year's Golden Globes overall as forgettable, and it was just a blur of talking heads and jokes that fell flat. At least this year, the champagne wasn't lukewarm like Jennifer Lawrence predicted. Out of the 81 Golden Globes, this one was ranked at a level D of entertaining. It's embarrassing for the Academy, I suppose.
The Golden Globes, filled with celebrities and of course, drama. Jo Koy was the host for this year's event, and the majority of the public seemed to have quite the opinion. So what roast occurred that night? Seems like there may be bad blood after Jo Koy made a joke about Taylor Swift herself at the Golden Globes. Not just about Taylor, oh no, but her relationship with Travis Kelce, which we all know was a huge conversation as the media went crazy. So what did Jo even say? His joke was that the big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift, and when the camera panned over to Taylor, she maintained a neutral face before taking a sip of her drink and keeping her eyes forward. Take a look for yourself. First of all, couldn't help but notice how stunning she looks in her green sparkly dress, and second of all, I do think she handled this roast quite well because it just appears she brushed it off, even though it was an obvious dig at her relationship. And Jo Koy actually responded to those images of Taylor's reaction. When he spoke to Entertainment Tonight, he described her reaction as cute and then added, "I was just saying it's less cutaways, that's all." And it seems like the public has mixed reactions, with some thinking Jo went too far and others feeling sympathy for him as they acknowledge hosting these events aren't easy, as you are meant to take digs at the audience. Plus, he didn't write all the jokes himself, but was the one presenting them. Do you think his roast against Taylor was too far or not at all? Hello, love. Sorry for the bad British accent, but I'm trying to transition into the topic of the royal family because at events like the Golden Globes, they are roasted. More specifically, it was about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Jo said, "It turns out Harry and Meghan Markle were still getting paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing, and that's just by Netflix." I honestly am curious about what your thoughts on this joke were, because some called it brutal and others aren't even focusing on this one compared to his other jokes. But anyways, one user even shared their thoughts as they wrote, so no one told Jo Koy that practically the entire cast of Suits is there in the audience of the Golden Globes, and so he went on ahead with that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle joke. The couple was not in attendance at the Golden Globes, so unfortunately we weren't able to get their live reaction. And of course, it couldn't be the 2024 Golden Globes without any reference to the blonde plastic doll. Yup, not even Barbie was safe from the roast. One reference that seemed to have the public less than impressed was when Jo Koy expressed how Oppenheimer was based on a 721-page prize-winning book on the Manhattan Project, while Barbie was based on a plastic doll with breasts. But he didn't stop there, because he also added, the key moment in Barbie is when she goes from a perfect beauty to a bad breath, cellulite, and flat feet, or what casting directors call character act. Many reacted obviously unhappy, especially because the whole point of the Barbie movie was to fight concepts like this. The Golden Globes cameras were also working hard because it captured Ryan Gosling's less than impressed facial expressions, and of course, Greta Gerwig's as well. Even Selena Gomez is seen in the audience putting her head down because yikes. And many even said Jo's joke was insane, especially because the whole Barbie movie talks about how hard it is to be a woman in a man's world. Plus, Jo even added that it was weird to be attracted to a plastic doll while watching the Margot Robbie-led movie. And a lot of people, from what I've seen, have shared their opinions and believe Jo's joke about Barbie was misogynistic and the worst joke he made all night. I don't know if you noticed, but recently a ton of celebrities have been rumored to be using Ozempic, which is a medication not meant for weight loss, but many have been using it for that reason. Elon Musk, Amy Schumer, and Sharon Osbourne are just a few who have admitted to using it. Well, Jo actually mentions Ozempic while making a joke about the color purple, which was one of the top titles of the night. His joke was that the color purple is what happens to your butt when you take Ozempic, and many didn't like this joke as it simply wasn't funny to them, and to be honest, I had to read a whole Reddit thread explaining this joke because I was a little confused and it didn't really help much. But the topic of Ozempic has been circulating all over social media after many celebrities allegedly lost a ton of weight by using it. So Jo was kind of bold with this one. He was also not afraid to roast directors as well. In fact, he roasted Martin Scorsese, who was the director of Killers of the Flower Moon. And that film was a Western drama which starred Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, and even Robert De Niro. But Jo's roast goes quite deep as it does not only talk about the director and the meaning of the film, well, at least to him, but also a whole race. Jo begins by saying white people stole everything, and then also added, not like 97%, you guys stole 100% of everything. You took the land, you took the oil, you took the premise of the movie. And when Jo noticed a mixed reaction from the audience, he decided to continue and say, What, that was your premise? That's hilarious, I don't care, it's just that the room is really white. So many celebrities at the Golden Globes went all out, and I couldn't help but to love Margot Robbie's perfect Barbie outfit, and she even changed into a black version of her dress for the Golden Globes after party, which was a perfect Barbie to Oppenheimer transition moment. Plus, Heidi Klum wore a stunning gown, and Dua Lipa was wearing a black mermaid dress. But it was Jason Sudeikis who stuck out after many people began to notice his choice of shoes. No, it was not red bottom heels, but he wore sneakers to the Golden Globes. He was also wearing a t-shirt which fans couldn't help but to roast him for. The Ted Lasso star doesn't actually appear at award ceremonies often, so when we finally see him, he is wearing quite the opposite of others. Some called him dressed like a 9th grade English teacher, and others actually seemed to like his outfit, particularly for his shoes. He was wearing colorful sneakers, and some either hated it or loved it, but this wasn't the first time his outfit has gotten attention from the media. For the 2021 Golden Globes, he was seen wearing a tie-dye pastel hoodie, but it was over a webcam, and he actually talked about why he wore a hoodie. It was because it would be weird for him to wear a suit as a top and something comfy for his bottom, so he decided just to be comfy. To be fair, this one has been debated about the authenticity of the story, but it did make headlines, so we're going to include it anyways. And those involved also got roasted all over the internet. There was a moment where the camera shows Selena Gomez, Kaylee Sperry, and Taylor Swift seemingly gossiping as they were all close in a circle, and the public began to try to figure out what these girls were saying, and all they could go on was the clip itself, plus trying to read their lips. And that's when somehow people began to say Selena was gossiping about an interaction she had with Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet. According to the internet, Selena asked Timothy to take a photo with her, who she's been friends with and done projects with in the past, but that's when Kylie allegedly stepped in and said no. But And the internet always goes crazy, especially when it comes to drama, and this story made headlines and made me feel like I was getting flashbacks from Selena and Hailey's drama from last year. But a source spoke to People and claimed Selena didn't even interact with these two all night. Plus, some fans noticed that too and began to share the possibility of this really happening, and not a single video or photo was taken of Selena talking to Timothy and Kylie, which many thought would have at least been captured somewhere. I honestly agree with those saying if it did happen, it would have been filmed or something, but do you agree or disagree? Remember when everyone felt bad for Leonardo DiCaprio for always being nominated but not winning? Because it looks like Joe spotted a new Leo. Well, sort of. One of the jokes he made was about Kieran Culkin and poked fun at how he's been nominated 4 times but finally won. Then he also said, "Suck it, Pedro, it's mine." And when the cameras panned over to Pascal, you could see him laughing, then suddenly bursting into tears, which were fake. At least I hope. And this was because The Last of Us, which is a show based on a video game, was nominated for 3 awards at the ceremony, but unfortunately didn't win any. I remember all the hype for The Last of Us when it first came out. Everyone was watching it, talking about it, but I only personally seen clips here and there. And because it's based on a video game, I'm curious to know if any of you who have played it or watched it and your thoughts on it. I think someone forgot to tell Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner that commercial breaks many see on TV is only on TV. And when those who watch the Golden Globes on their website, there was no commercial breaks at all, and instead was literally a camera on the two of them just interacting, and that included the two kissing and being all touchy. Plus, that wasn't all, because many speculated that you could see Kylie saying "I love you" to Timothy, and this caused it to circulate all over social media. And obviously the public shared their opinions on this, with many sharing how their heart is so full and happy, but on the other hand, others are saying it's cringy. And in the video footage, you're able to see Kylie touching his necklace and looking at it, while the two seem to be having a conversation with a few kisses every few seconds. Personally, this is a relationship I never thought would ever exist, especially because they appear to be quite opposites, but I guess they both see something in each other, who knows? Do you like Kylie and Timothy together, or do you prefer her with Travis, or literally anyone else? And Timothy, I knew he dated Lily Rose Depp, but that's about my extent of my knowledge with his romantic interests. And of course, how could we forget who got roasted arguably the most all night? Joe Coy himself seemed to be in the middle of the fire, as his jokes caused a huge reaction from many. None of the celebrity guests in attendance were safe from Joe's roast, and Joe was not safe from the public. In fact, he actually responded after so many people seemed disappointed in his jokes. Joe said, "Some I wrote, some others wrote. Yes, I got the gig 10 days ago. Shut up, you're kidding me, right? Slow down, I wrote some of these and they are the ones you're laughing at." And his response was also mixed, as many believed he was just putting blame on some of the flat jokes on others, but at the same time could be the truth, who knows. He also did address the comments about Taylor Swift, which he admitted fell flat, and of course admitted his backlash he's been receiving does hurt, but it was a moment he would remember forever. Mixed reviews of Joe. What did you think about his hosting job? Award shows are always exciting to see who wins each category, but it is never really drama-free. Did you watch the Golden Globes, and did you disagree or agree with the winners?
VMAs from 2015. 2015 VMAs were just start to finish rough. Miley Cyrus hosted that year, which was a bad idea. Not that she did a bad job, but she was in the midst of a feud with Nicki Minaj. Nicki called her out when she took to the stage to accept her Best Hip Hop award, asking her what was good. Miley had just talked trash about her in the New York Times, and there was a brief back and forth, but all in all, it could have been way worse. Oh yeah, it did get worse. On top of dropping a numerous amount of F-bombs during the show, there was a wardrobe malfunction for Miley. At one point in the show, she did a bit where she was holding part of a drape over herself while changing, but the drape slipped and revealed her bare chest to the world. No censor was able to catch it at the moment, and any footage now is of course blurred, but that's what happens when you do it live. It wasn't just Miley that caused issues. Kanye West also made a long-winded speech that was kind of a rant, kind of a truth bomb, but mostly nonsense. The speech derailed the flow of the show and was just a little peek into the madman that was being created. Oh, and to top it all off, no Beyonce, no Madonna, no Lady Gaga. Why? Number 9, Michael's birthday speech. Travel back to 2002 with me for a moment. It's just a jump to the left. It's a musical thing. On August 29th, the VMAs took place on what also happened to be Michael Jackson's birthday. In case you forgot, Michael was the Thriller guy, Macaulay Culkin's best friend. You should not forget him. In honor of Michael Jackson and in celebration, MTV threw a birthday party during the event. Britney Spears was tasked with presenting Michael and delivering his birthday cake. During his speech to set up Michael's arrival, she praised him as an incredible performer and referred to him as the artist of the millennium. Things got a little awkward when Michael took the stage and started giving a speech, thanking the audience for giving him the Artist of the Millennium award. In one of the most uncomfortable moments in MTV's history, Michael Jackson started describing his childhood and how appreciative he was for the honor being bestowed upon him. The crowd was confused but ultimately decided to play along and gave him a massive round of applause. When Michael found out about the incident, he was actually more giggly than anything else. According to his management team at the time, he thought it was hilarious and felt like the biggest fool in the world. A happy birthday indeed. Number 8, Oscar Streaker. This is by far the oldest entry on this list, dating back to 1974. During the Oscar ceremony, as the host David Niven was introducing Elizabeth Taylor, who was presenting the award for Best Picture, as he was making a speech literally referencing how the world was having a bit of a nervous breakdown and that films provided an escape from reality, a man wearing nothing but his mustache and his birthday suit ran across the stage, throws up a peace sign, and disappears off the camera. He never says a single word the entire time he's up there. After Niven had a bit of a chuckle, he told the crowd that this was bound to happen, but was it? Even in 1974, it was pretty difficult to get into the Oscars without an invitation. Robert Opel, the man with the mustache, made his way through security by posing as a journalist, and while behind the scenes, he cut a hole in a large and expensive piece of curtain that was supposed to be used for projecting images, and then made it to the other side of the stage. It was later revealed that this was actually somewhat planned, as the man was encouraged by a producer to make an appearance, and to do what he did when Niven said his lines, which was a strange and memorable moment for sure. Number 7, Miss Universe. Getting the name wrong for an award show moment is one thing, and at the Oscars, there are at least a ton of people who can share in your disappointment if that ever happens. But in 2015, Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud, was the host of the Miss Universe pageant, bringing women from all around the globe to compete for the title of Miss Universe. As Steve went on to announce the winner, he confidently exclaimed that Miss Colombia, who was really the first runner-up, was the winner, when actually it was Miss Philippines. The mistake was not his fault though. During the rehearsal, he was only supposed to say 2 names, the runner-up and the winner, but last minute they changed it to where he had to say 3 names, which really just threw him off and created a lot of chaos. The teleprompter said 1 name, but someone in his ear told him to just read the name on the card that he was holding. Those were 2 different names, and a fumble took place. He went backstage and got told he did a great job, but then he was told he said the wrong name, and instead of waiting for the news to come out the next day, Steve walked back on stage, revealed he made a mistake, and to the devastation of one woman and the delight of another. He received a lot of flack for this moment, but again, not really his fault. Number 6, Moonlight mix-up. This is one of the few live TV fumbles I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world. In 2017, at the Oscar ceremony, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway appeared on stage to present an award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused, as it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land because she was accidentally handed a copy of the winners from Best Actress in a leading role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye just looked confused until the stage was overflowing with excited cast and crew ready to accept their Oscars. However, one moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they didn't win. A stagehand jogged to them, just bolted across the room, handed them the real winner's name, which was Moonlight, who had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There is a moment of people thinking it's some kind of a joke, but the director was being very sincere. The best part of this moment, Ryan Gosling is in the background, the lead of the movie and a nominee for Best Actor, and all he is doing is trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset, it was more like a "you gotta be kidding me" type deal. Something tells me that Faye and Warren won't be asked to present any awards anytime soon. Number 5, Adele Dazeem. A while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she voices Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other stuff, but I can't geek out about that right now. For this event, she was promoting the film Frozen and showcased a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. It's probably still in your head right now. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts, and there's even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that's turned people like Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mazzoline. Kinda like that one. The following year, the two appeared on stage together again, where Adina decided to drop some revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a little bit forced, but it was nice that they played the whole thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is supposed to triple check everything before he presents and has to practice pronouncing names constantly. Number 4, Will Smith versus Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was presenting at the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see her in a fictional G.I. Jane movie, and immediately following the joke, which was very funny and landed for everyone else, Rock stood in confusion because Will Smith started making his way to the stage. What's going on? Well, Will adjusted his jacket, took a firm stance, and clocked Chris right across his cheeks. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force, and initially this was seen as a planned joke or something, but then Will started shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, adding a couple F-bombs in there. Chris handled the situation pretty well, and he kept his cool, laughing it off for the camera, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was professional and was quick to get the night back on track, but unfortunately about an hour later, Will Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role because he played, Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena, in a movie. But during his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, the slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars indefinitely. And on top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and right now he just sits at his home polishing his one and only Oscar next to one single lit candle in the darkest room of his mega mansion. Number 3, Adrian Brody and Halle Berry. We're popping back again to 2003 at the Academy Awards, where Halle Berry presented Adrian Brody with the award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Normally, when you accept an award like this, you walk on stage, thank the person who announced you, and give a little speech, but instead, Adrian grabbed Halle Berry's face and pulled her in close, planting one right on her. At the time, the incident was brushed off and nothing was thought of it, but a couple of years ago, Halle admitted that the moment was unplanned and she had no idea what was happening. At the time, this moment was seen as comedic or just some fun between friends, but in 2023, the moment feels a lot darker and it's pretty clear that Halle was uncomfortable. Number 2, Jennifer Lawrence. This is one of the more memorable award show moments of all time that she may never live down. In 2013, while walking up the stage to accept her Oscar for Best Actress, Jennifer took a little tumble and tripped on her dress. She stood giggling for a moment, but eventually made her way to the stage. But the following year, she fell again, only this time on the red carpet, and again the next year. People started to notice a pattern and started to think that maybe she was just doing it on purpose to appear more grounded. Not some Hollywood elite who knows how to walk properly, because if you're not famous, then you can't walk straight. Those are the rules. Eventually, she got her footing down and has not made any more on-air tumbles in recent history, but we can chalk up the moments to Jen wearing a dress that was a little bit just too long and not paying attention to where she was stepping, but that's about it. And at number 1, the Kanye snub. Now, there are so many reasons that Kanye West is banned from attending another VMA show in his life, and most award shows. Now, we could chalk it up to him being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every company he worked for when he posted some pretty bad tweets that I will not get into. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps, as well as one onstage incident that people still talk about today. The incident took place in 2009 when Taylor Swift was trying to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage, took the mic from her hand, and told everyone that he was gonna let her finish, but that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time, guys. He didn't sound that nerdy, but Taylor still jokes about the incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City this year for her Eras tour, she took to the stage to play her piano and the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is actually the best way to be interrupted, and she should know. Kanye was issued a ban from the following year, but he has since received a lifetime ban from the VMAs and from his fame in general. Number 10, VMAs from 2015. 2015 VMAs were just start to finish rough. Miley Cyrus hosted that year, which was a bad idea. Not that she did a bad job, but she was in the midst of a feud with Nicki Minaj. Nicki called her out when she took to the stage to accept her Best Hip Hop award, asking her what was good. Miley had just talked trash about her in the New York Times, and there was a brief back and forth, but all in all, it could have been way worse. Oh yeah, it did get worse. On top of dropping a numerous amount of F-bombs during the show, there was a wardrobe malfunction for Miley. At one point in the show, she did a bit where she was holding part of a drape over herself while changing, but the drape slipped and revealed her bare chest to the world. No censor was able to catch it at the moment, and any footage now is of course blurred, but that's what happens when you do it live. It wasn't just Miley that caused issues. Kanye West also made a long-winded speech that was kind of a rant, kind of a truth bomb, but mostly nonsense. The speech derailed the flow of the show and was just a little peek into the madman that was being created. Oh, and to top it all off, no Beyonce, no Madonna, no Lady Gaga. Why? Number 9. Michael's birthday speech. Travel back to 2002 with me for a moment. It's just a jump to the left. It's a musical thing. On August 29th, the VMAs took place on what also happened to be Michael Jackson's birthday. In case you forgot, Michael was the Thriller guy, Macaulay Culkin's best friend. You should not forget him. In honor of Michael Jackson and in celebration, MTV threw a birthday party during the event. Britney Spears was tasked with presenting Michael and delivering his birthday cake. During his speech to set up Michael's arrival, she praised him as an incredible performer and referred to him as the artist of the millennium. Things got a little awkward when Michael took the stage and started giving a speech, thanking the audience for giving him the Artist of the Millennium award. In one of the most uncomfortable moments in MTV's history, Michael Jackson started describing his childhood and how appreciative he was for the honor being bestowed upon him. The crowd was confused but ultimately decided to play along and gave him a massive round of applause. When Michael found out about the incident, he was actually more giggly than anything else. According to his management team at the time, he thought it was hilarious and felt like the biggest fool in the world. A happy birthday indeed. Number 8, Oscar Streaker. This is by far the oldest entry on this list, dating back to 1974. During the Oscar ceremony, as the host David Niven was introducing Elizabeth Taylor, who was presenting the award for Best Picture, as he was making a speech literally referencing how the world was having a bit of a nervous breakdown and that films provided an escape from reality. A man wearing nothing but his mustache and his birthday suit ran across the stage, throws up a peace sign, and disappears off the camera. He never says a single word the entire time he's up there. After Niven had a bit of a chuckle, he told the crowd that this was bound to happen, but was it? Even in 1974, it was pretty difficult to get into the Oscars without an invitation. Robert Opel, the man with the mustache, made his way through security by posing as a journalist, and while behind the scenes, he cut a hole in a large and expensive piece of curtain that was supposed to be used for projecting images, and then made it to the other side of the stage. It was later revealed that this was actually somewhat planned, as the man was encouraged by a producer to make an appearance, and to do what he did when Niven said his lines, which was a strange and memorable moment for sure. Number 7, Miss Universe. Getting the name wrong for an award show moment is one thing, and at the Oscars, there are at least a ton of people who can share in your disappointment if that ever happens. But in 2015, Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud, was the host of the Miss Universe pageant, bringing women from all around the globe to compete for the title of Miss Universe. As Steve went on to announce the winner, he confidently exclaimed that Miss Colombia, who was really the first runner-up, was the winner, when actually it was Miss Philippines. The mistake was not his fault though. During the rehearsal, he was only supposed to say 2 names, the runner-up and the winner, but last minute they changed it to where he had to say 3 names, which really just threw him off and created a lot of chaos. The teleprompter said 1 name, but someone in his ear told him to just read the name on the card that he was holding. Those were 2 different names, and a fumble took place. He went backstage and got told he did a great job, but then he was told he said the wrong name, and instead of waiting for the news to come out the next day, Steve walked back on stage, revealed he made a mistake, and to the devastation of one woman and the delight of another. He received a lot of flack for this moment, but again, not really his fault. Number 6, Moonlight mix-up. This is one of the few live TV fumbles I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world. In 2017, at the Oscar ceremony, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway appeared on stage to present an award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused, as it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land because she was accidentally handed a copy of the winners from Best Actress in a leading role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye just looked confused until the stage was overflowing with excited cast and crew ready to accept their Oscars. However, one moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they didn't win. A stagehand jogged to them, just bolted across the room, handed them the real winner's name, which was Moonlight, who had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There is a moment of people thinking it's some kind of a joke, but the director was being very sincere. The best part of this moment? Ryan Gosling is in the background, the lead of the movie and a nominee for Best Actor, and all he is doing is trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset, it was more like a "you gotta be kidding me" type deal. Something tells me that Faye and Warren won't be asked to present any awards anytime soon. Number 5, Adele Dazeem. A while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she voices Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other stuff, but I can't geek out about that right now. For this event, she was promoting the film Frozen and showcased a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. It's probably still in your head right now. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts, and there's even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that's turned people like Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mazzoline. Kind of like that one. The following year, the two appeared on stage together again, where Idina decided to drop some revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a little bit forced, but it was nice that they played the whole thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is supposed to triple check everything before he presents and has to practice pronouncing names constantly. Number 4, Will Smith versus Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was presenting at the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see her in a fictional G.I. Jane movie, and immediately following the joke, which was very funny and landed for everyone else, Rock stood in confusion because Will Smith started making his way to the stage. What's going on? Well, Will adjusted his jacket, took a firm stance, and clocked Chris right across his cheeks. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force, and initially this was seen as a planned joke or something, but then Will started shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, adding a couple F-bombs in there. Chris handled the situation pretty well, and he kept his cool, laughing it off for the camera, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was professional and was quick to get the night back on track, but unfortunately about an hour later, Will Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role because he played, Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena, in a movie. But during his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, the slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars indefinitely. And on top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and right now he just sits at his home polishing his one and only Oscar next to one single lit candle in the darkest room of his mega mansion. Number 3, Adrian Brody and Halle Berry. We're popping back again to 2003 at the Academy Awards, where Halle Berry presented Adrian Brody with the award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Normally, when you accept an award like this, you walk on stage, thank the person who announced you, and give a little speech. But instead, Adrian grabbed Halle Berry's face and pulled her in close, planting one right on her. At the time, the incident was brushed off and nothing was thought of it, but a couple of years ago, Halle admitted that the moment was unplanned and she had no idea what was happening. At the time, this moment was seen as comedic or just some fun between friends, but in 2023, the moment feels a lot darker and it's pretty clear that Halle was uncomfortable. Number 2, Jennifer Lawrence. This is one of the more memorable award show moments of all time that she may never live down. In 2013, while walking up the stage to accept her Oscar for Best Actress, Jennifer took a little tumble and tripped on her dress. She stood giggling for a moment, but eventually made her way to the stage. But the following year, she fell again, only this time on the red carpet, and again the next year. People started to notice a pattern and started to think that maybe she was just doing it on purpose to appear more grounded. Not some Hollywood elite who knows how to walk properly, because if you're not famous, then you can't walk straight. Those are the rules. Eventually, she got her footing down and has not made any more on-air tumbles in recent history, but we can chalk up the moments to Jen wearing a dress that was a little bit just too long and not paying attention to where she was stepping, but that's about it. And at number 1, the Kanye snub. Now, there are so many reasons that Kanye West is banned from attending another VMA show in his life, and most award shows. Now, we could chalk it up to him being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every company he worked for when he posted some pretty bad tweets that I will not get into. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps, as well as one onstage incident that people still talk about today. The incident took place in 2009 when Taylor Swift was trying to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage, took the mic from her hand, and told everyone that he was gonna let her finish, but that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time, guys. He didn't sound that nerdy, but Taylor still jokes about the incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City this year for her Eras tour, she took to the stage to play her piano and the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is actually the best way to be interrupted, and she should know. Kanye was issued a ban from the following year, but he has since received a lifetime ban from the VMAs and from his fame in general.